Alex Persian is suddenly alive once again, making back-to-back wins to narrow the gap to Agustin Castro and Am, while Victor Miranda is finally able to call himself a defending winner in NARL. Brazelton's Road Atlanta is up next with North American Racing League Porsche Cup drivers, and it's set to be a dandy this afternoon. Hi, welcome to PitStopTV and the virtual Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV with JP Costa. From one personal favorite to the next, I definitely love racing at Road Atlanta, JP. That said, drivers have been very vocal in the last 24 hours about just how bad the car seems to handle, at least in this amateur division, and how much the blacktop here in Brazelton feels more like an ice rink.
Yeah, it's a tricky course, Andrew. We were talking pre-broadcast how I'm pretty sure everybody loves this racing course. It's just so challenging. You know, it doesn't take any prisoners, as we mentioned. But yeah, you know, the Porsche Cup, it feels like an ice rink. Drivers will not like it. I think for us, it makes for an even greater show. But I'm pretty sure if you're driving out there and you're struggling with grip, it might not be the track, you know, to do it at.
Let's go ahead and take a look at the track map here at Road Atlanta. Turns 1, 2, and 3, they feel like their own kind of bunch until you get to the S's, and then really 3 on down to 5. It's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different apexes, but it's just 3 corners technically. 3 and 4 at top of the hill, then you go down through the bunch of the S's, and you can kind of straight line to a bit of it until you get to turn 5, and that is your first really challenging corner. 3 is challenging just because you can't see where you're going at first, so if you don't know, you don't know, and it can certainly get you. But turn 5 I think is really the first real big challenging corner. Each corner has its own little difficulties here, JP, but 5 is a difficult one.
Yeah, absolutely. 5 is, I guess it's the most difficult one. Is obviously the death trap. You can easily make a mistake over there and end your race on the outside wall. So, you know, that's going to be the corner to keep an eye out on. Obviously, then we go to turn 6, turn 7, you know, 2 quick right-handers. Obviously, they nearly 90 degrees. We could see some moves out there, but obviously, you know, the big back straightaway, you know, turns 8 and 9, which obviously are flat out, and coming down to the braking zone of turns 10, that's where we're going to see most of the action. That chicane is going to be absolutely essential, and obviously you can make moves again on turns 11, 12, especially if you just got overtaken. And then, Andrew, well, as soon as you pass turn 12, you get to do it all over again for, well, many laps. So it's a really tricky course, but a lot of fun.
And what I've just realized is I think turns 6 and 7 here at Road Atlanta feel a little bit like the Lesmos at Monza, where they're very similar corners. They're both right-handers, they're both about 90 degrees, but they're both just a little bit different before setting up for a long straightaway down to a chicane. So I think that's your comparison. If you've never been to Road Atlanta, maybe have run some laps at Monza before, I feel like those feel like the Lesmos out in Italy. Maybe that little comparison. And of course, that backstretch, you land a plane on it. We'll just leave that one there. If you know, you know. It's definitely a long one. And those couple of corners, really just quarter marshal stands, we're going to see some big moves, I think. Certainly some draft packs and a lot of fuel saving tonight is certainly going to be on the forefront of minds as we get ready to go racing. This is your amateur race on, well, your amateur practice on track. Now, let's go ahead and check out their points before checking out the pro points. Agustin Castro, as I mentioned, suddenly has Alex Persian just in the mirror, even in the standings. 3 wins now for Alex Persian. Of course, 1 at Hockenheim to start this season off, 1 last week at Charlotte, and 1 the week prior at Spa. Brian Zinn has that win. He's now 7 points back. Agustin Castro's got to get back on the horse. He's got to start to work up a gap here. He cannot allow Alex Persian to stay this close, especially going into Red Bull Ring in 2 weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. The championship is very close, and obviously as we're closing around, well, we're in the second to last round, so it's really all or nothing for these guys. No mistakes are allowed, Andrew, so it's really going to be interesting to see how they're going to react, especially the top 3. And obviously the rest of the grid, you can see, you know, there's a tie between T. Gashburn and Max Tankerel. Yeah, there's 3 ties. You can see T. Gashburn, Max Tankerel. I can see Bobby Flack and Pierre Thompson and Miguel Cardoso and Brian Long. All of them are tied, but if you look at the gaps, Andrew, as well, I mean, it's not a lot. You know, it's obviously 40 points, 45 points between T. Gashburn and Andrew Rasmussen, who is in 19th place. So with 2 rounds, that can all change.
Yeah, you have the 3 ties, first with T. Gashburn and Max Tankerel, but Todd Malik is only 3 points back with them. Then you nearly have a tie with Diego Eda and Scott Angelo. but Ilya Speaker's only 4 points back of them. Then you go back a little ways, 9 points in fact to Dan Willis, but hey, Aubrey Kundal only 3 points back of Dan, and Bobby Flack and Pierre Thompson are tied just behind Aubrey by 1 point. Then you get back to Armando Bejaron. It's 2 more points to Mike Braun, so they're very close, and it's only 3 points back to Miguel Cardozo and Brian Long. You nearly have Will Coffey and Andrew Rasmussen tied, so certainly a lot of battles throughout this top 20 that are going to change here in round number 7 and are going to be entirely different in 2 weeks when we load in Austria. Let's go ahead and take a look then at the Pro-Am standings. Of course, this race is in about 50 minutes or so. Actually, longer than that. This race is not for a while, but Victor Miranda finally got that win out at Charlotte JP. Luke Kraus, though, is still very, very close behind. Only a 3-point gap. Brady Lubenow is 31 back, and honestly, Lubenow in the top 3 surprises me. He always feels like one of the safer, just quieter drivers. It makes sense, though, that he is starting to climb up those standings. He's just kind of quietly getting top 10s, quietly getting top 5s even, and doing better than a lot of these guys that have been all over the standings, all over the results so far this season. I mean, Andre Melcher's 3 wins, sure, but he's had some pretty terrible results in between. David Sampson, Spencer Marsh, they're right around that top 5 cutoff. Mikhail Rudabush not far back. Matthew Dench's kind of floating around, and it's a much more different story in Pro-Am, where Lawrence Zavadil, of course, has the lead by 8 points over Paulo Godai, and Rafael Bonifacio got that win last week at Charlotte. Scott Kimbrough only 10 points back of him.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of stories to be told in both, well, the Pro and the Pro-Am as well. Obviously, you mentioned Brady Lubenow. That's just results of consistency. If you're consistently up there, even if you don't win. We saw Victor Miranda, actually. He didn't win a single race until last week, and he was always up there. Now Brady Lubenow is that guy, 31 points behind. He's still very close. And obviously, when you switch to the Pro-Am, obviously it's a bit more balanced. Lawrence, obviously, he has 3 wins, but Paulo, Rafael, and Scott, all of them have 1 win, and well, they're kind of close again. So it's really interesting. Obviously, I guess the battles we're looking at is Victor against Luke and Lawrence against Paulo. But yeah, Andrew, I cannot wait to those races. But first, we have to get through the amateur race, which, is just as fun. And well, being the second to last race of the season, Andrew, this is promising.
And these guys get a week break next week, April the 12th, before unloading in Spielberg. That's going to be fun. We have kind of a preview of what that might be like this week on Thursday, in fact, with the North American Racing League GT3 series. So we'll kind of see what things are like. We'll kind of see if, that's going to be, I don't know. I don't really know what it's going to be, actually. The last time we had Red Bull Ring, I think it was season number 1, wasn't it? Where we had all that fog and a lot of unknowns, I think, just because of how fast and technical that course is, how flowing it is, but also how quickly it can reach out and bite you. It's going to be a challenge, and I'm excited for it. I hope the drivers are as well, beginning again this Thursday, April the 7th, and then again April the 19th to round out this championship. It's going to be a fun series. Well, it has been a fun series. It's going to be a fun championship to the series.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be fantastic. And I guess, just finishing off at Red Bull Ring, a track where, well, we have a lot of straightaways, a lot of overtaking opportunities. It's really going to be fantastic. And it's really going to test a lot of the drivers', abilities. Obviously following, nailing the course as well, but obviously overtaking as well, Andrew, which is really going to be important, especially if you're fighting for the championship.
As aforementioned, practice is underway. In fact, practice is actually coming down to a close here in just a couple of moments. Agustin Castro on track. He is second so far in our practice charts, and you can see where these guys all fall. It looks just about the same as per usual. Alex Persian, very, very quick here in practice. Agustin Castro just behind, and another step behind, you'll find Ryan Kerr. And of course, Ryan Kerr and Agustin Castro had that contact last week that is really shortening up this championship battle. That, when we talk about Alex Persian only being 2 points back, it's because of that contact, because of Agustin having to rely on a worse result now and having to drop last week at Charlotte. So that's definitely a big problem, and hopefully these guys can avoid that kind of thing this week. Hopefully everybody can stay pointed the right direction, but drivers, as I mentioned, are very, very vocal about how this car feels in this amateur setup, and we'll see how it works out for them. And I think it comes down more so to track conditions than setup. I think it's just a little bit greasy out there. We can bring up the weather. We race in mornings for each of these North American Racing League Porsche Cup races, and you can see 68.3 degrees in the air, 70 degrees in the racetrack, and oh boy, that's a lot of wind, actually, especially with that long backstretch here, JP. Depending on what the wing setting is for this fixed setup amateur race, that could mess with these guys just a little bit. But those track conditions, very, very greasy, very, very cold, that's going to be a challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's going to bring, I guess, even more, how much you practice. It's going to line up the guys that practice. Obviously, if you practice a lot through different sessions, you're probably going to encounter similar, weather conditions and similar track conditions as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to tackle this race course. Obviously, now in qualifying, we're going to have a good idea, but obviously on the race, it's going to be a completely different story.
So practice will wrap up and we'll go into qualifying here. A bit of a smaller field this week compared to usual, and I think we had a bit of the same story at Charlotte, so maybe some attrition setting in for this season, and we're starting to see those guys that are properly dedicated to this series. It's good to see that, actually. Well, it's not good to see numbers dwindle, but it's good to see that certain drivers are staying dedicated, and certainly a lot of them are staying dedicated. It's still a wide field, just slightly more narrow than it was to open up the championship. Here's a look at Clarence Rosa, one of the first onto the racetrack. He's already headed down to the S's. The Empire Racing 98 just might even take a tow back to the pit lane. Now, one thing that's very much worth noting here, JP, following Long Beach last week for the GT3 cars, there have actually been some regulations changed for North American Racing League as a whole. And to put it simply, what NARL wants is drivers to go out for qualifying and just go qualify. Just go run a couple of laps, go run a few laps. Either they don't want any of the shenanigans as far as warming tires or trying to make brake heat radiate. We don't want to get too far into all of that, but we just want a spirit of competition here. That's what the league is going for, and that's what the league is going to enforce beginning today.
Yeah, I guess what they want is a little bit of, more realism on qualifying. Just keep, okay, you can keep a kind of a slower pace than a full qualifying lap, but, just, all right, weaving. We don't want to see what we saw in the, the Porsche Cup Esports Championship, all of that controversy, but looks like, drivers will be following that. They were pretty happy about it. I guess they were pretty, like, in uniform after what happened, and we're translating. We're seeing it happen through here. So as you can see, Mike Braun just took his qualifying lap. You can see even, is this Alex Persian, if I'm used to it? So you can see drivers, just going for it, which is really good to see, and should bring an even nicer spectacle in qualifying.
Yeah, so qualifying opening up, but a big shout out is certainly deserved to Virtual Racing School, VRS, Maradness, Tam Livery, and JS Consulting for making so many great things happen here with the North American Racing League week in, week out, race in, race out, month in, month out, and now getting to where we're at year in, year out. Of course, beating competition last year, 2021, and carrying into 2022. Let's go back down trackside and see how these guys are doing. Now, actually, before we do that, we want to talk about some of these corners, and this is turn 3, and it doesn't look like it from here, JP, but you can kind of see where the track falls away a little bit. It's difficult when you come over that crest just before this corner to know exactly where you have to be pointed at to turn in, because you've got to turn in even before this point. You can see where that darkened strip of rubber turns in and gets closer to that apex. You've got to be headed straight towards it. You can't stay out wide and swing around like a Formula 1 car might. You've got to be headed to that apex and get that apex curbing. Similarly, down at turn 5, you've got to be pretty careful here. Let's see. You can see where that darkened strip of rubber gets real close to the apex a little bit sooner. It's not staying out wide and swinging back in with a whole lot of downforce. This is a GT3 car, essentially. You've got to go for the apex.
Absolutely, and obviously, going for the apex, you might just bounce a little bit. If you get a bit too, I guess you could say, too ambitious, you might just overcorrect your car and, well, straight into the wall. So it's a really couple of difficult corners. Obviously, turn 3, you can lose a lot of time. In turn 5, well, you can lose your race. So yeah, it's really difficult, but very, very important corners, especially for your qualifying and your race efforts. As you can see, I can see Castro Andrew. Well, he's already gone quickest, 0.3 of a second. Looking confident as he should be.
Milan Harris in car 69 is in turn 7 now, headed back down the backstretch. Just under a 121. In fact, only 2 cars in that bracket so far, Agustin Castro and Milan Harris. Here's a look at Diego Eda on his second lap. Scott Angelo also on lap number 2. And Miguel Cardozo coming over the S's to begin lap number 2. So still very early in his run for the Juncos Porsche. Dan Willis in car 127 is out there for Maradness, and also pretty early in his second lap. Ilya Speaker out there for Rockefeller Racing, headed into turn 10. So he was one of the first ones on the track and is already wrapping up this second lap.
Yeah, already finished. We're going to see the time improvement. Currently 0.7 of a second behind the leader. You can see just the ice ring injury. You can see the car losing quite a bit of grip, and that's not going to be an improvement, actually. That's going to be way slower. So yeah, interesting. So drivers are struggling. As you can see, some drivers are improving. Scott Angelo, he went really quick, less than 40 hundredths behind the leader. Now Alex Persian, he improves quite a bit as well. 2/10 behind the new leader, which is Curve. We've got 120.6, so less than half a second. Well, just as I say that, Agostini Castro, Andrew, he goes over 120.5.
And notice here that the paint has changed on car 79, now in Maradness colors, joining that team between last week and this week, and I think a pretty big boost. We had heard about Giuliano Romagnolo in the YouTube chat talking about how much the coaching had helped Alex in recent weeks, and definitely you can see the effect of it now. In those Maradness colors, the bright yellow and the red and the black, it's a great looking 79 car, and he just went a whole lot faster as well. First lap out wasn't too great, second lap puts him 5th, as Agustin Castro was looking very quick as well, still in those wrong what is it, the wrong way, or the wrong stuff, there we go, the wrong stuff, number 014, Ryan Kerr looking quick as well, and a new paint scheme, it looks like, for the 888, and Scott Angelo still out there in the Samsoid blue colors. He's going to come around and wrap up this lap.
We're going to see if Scott can improve on his lap. Currently sitting on 120.7. No, this is going to be slower, 121.2. So drivers may be struggling a little bit, Andrew. We're seeing drivers improving, but we're also seeing a lot of drivers not improving on their following laps. So yeah, maybe tire grip, well, it's not up there. Maybe not the temperature, something. Well, for some drivers it's not working. As you can see now, Rasmussen going really wide on 10A. He's going to lose a lot of time on 10B. Agustin Castro, well, he's one of the drivers that is really improving already. 1.5 tenths ahead of second place. You can see Rasmussen losing quite a bit of grip on the run down of the hill. He goes with a 121.9, and that's going to be
21st.
1.4. Yeah, 21st. So 1.4 seconds away from pole. So, but still, time to improve.
Dre Divatz wraps up his qualifying run for the wrong stuff. Number 120, no, number 12. I thought 127 for a second, but Dan Wills in the 127. Julio Contreras is out there in car 525, wrapping up his run. Teammates with Diego Era, who is up in the 4th spot currently in qualifying. Todd Malik is out there as well. And, Brian Zinn just went a whole lot quicker and goes up to the 7th position. And I believe that's actually one of his throwback liveries. I think he ran the same kind of deal way back at Long Beach that he's bringing back for this weekend. Looks like Max Tankerall up to 21st, moves Mike Weir and Andrew Rasmussen back a couple of spots, and Sean Patterson is still out there in qualifying, wrapping up his 3rd lap. Let's see where he goes from 24th. Does he improve up at all? He does improve a little bit, it looks like. Does he go up any positions? No, not quite. So he'll hold station in the 24th spot, and Steven Grabowski now is going to be a little bit late to the track. We'll see if he can get a lap in.
2 minutes and 40 is going to be tied for him to get a lap. I think it's possible. Obviously, he's not going to have the optimal tire, temperature. So, unfortunately for him, that might hurt him a little bit.
It's going to be close.
It's going to be really close for him to start a lap and obviously finish it. But we're just going to have to wait and see for number 48. Currently, he's the only car who has not set a lap. Yeah, and that's the danger of turn number 5, Andrew. That's, well, a perfect example of what can happen. Now we're on board with Brian Zinn, if I'm not mistaken, the number 23. He's finishing up his lap. We're just going to have to wait and see, does he elect... Yeah, he's going to finish his lap, so we're just going to see if he improves, or is he just running for practice at this time?
He goes faster from 7th up to 5th, ahead of Teague Ashburn and Alex Persian.
Nice, so a good lap for him. 5th place is a really solid starting position. Max Tankerell, we're just on board with him. Well, we're seeing his car right now approaching, going down the hill. No, he comes down in the pit lane. So yeah, unfortunately for him, he's going to stick with 21st place. Mike Braun, currently 8 tenths of a second behind the leader, just outside the top 10.
At this point, these guys still running. They've already wrapped up all of their laps. They're just out here getting extra laps. Is Todd Malik finding out one thing you don't want to do. That is headed down out of turn 11 to turn 12.
That's an odd spot to spin.
But we saw that bobble on board with, who was it? Was it Agustin? Or was it Persian? I forget who exactly we were on board with, but we saw the bobble coming over that crest and headed down to turn 12. So you can see it's definitely, I think, one of those spots where the car gets a little bit light. And I really wonder how, I'd love to know how much rear wing is in this setup. I think that would explain a lot of the troubles these guys are having in those kind of faster portions of the racetrack. And it seems like the car just gets light coming up over crests, and they might have the rear end swap ends with them a couple of times.
It's just a general, I guess, lack of tire grip, because we're seeing drivers losing, the rear end everywhere pretty much. So we're just gonna have to wait and see. That's actually a really good point as well. I would like to know the setups. As you can see here, yeah, just a bit too much speed. But yeah, it's just a tricky. Obviously, they're gonna be running all the same setup, so one driver's struggle is gonna be, well, the same for everybody. But obviously, Andrew, if you like your car a little bit loose, you're gonna be just at home with this setup, maybe.
I don't know if a little bit loose is the right way to put it. It seems like a snap oversteer when the car gets light. And that's a very what's the word? It's not a very in-depth analysis. We haven't seen a whole lot of it. I've only watched, the same thing that you guys have watched here on the broadcast, but it's just from the little things that I've seen, it looks like it's just the car gets light over crest, the car unloads or whatever, and it just kind of spooks it. I don't really know. It comes around, and I really do wonder if it's a downforce issue or if it's a tire issue, and potentially even, like I said earlier, could just be the track is greasy. There's a few different things that it could be, and something these drivers will have to battle throughout the course of the race, but I like that. I like when drivers are a little bit upset by a setup. I like when drivers have to struggle a little bit. And let's go ahead and get ready to go through our grid. Starting on pole, Agustin Castro, very quick as per usual, and Ryan Gurr right there with him. The front row does not surprise me at all. Scott Angelo, though, third. That's pretty cool to see with Diego Eda there in the fourth spot. Brian Zinwar fifth, T. Ashburn sixth. Starting seventh, you'll find three-time winner this season, Alex Persian, with Milan Harris in that fourth row. And starting in the fifth row, it's Todd Malik and Miguel Cardozo.
Starting row number 6, we're going to have John Kroom on the inside, Mike Braun on the outside in 12th place. Row number 7, we're going to have Andrea Deva in 13th place with number 12, in the number 127, Dan Willis in 14th place. 15th place will go the ways of Elias Speaker in the number 03, the number 525 with Julio Contreras in 16th. 17th will go the way of Aubrey Kundal in the 53, and the number 10 of Jeff Castillo on the outside. Row number 10, we're going to have Bobby Flagg and Joshua Benjamin.
That's all we've got time for this one as we get ready for racing. 30 minutes of Porsche Cup action with the amateur drivers here in the North American Racing League, and it begins now. A nice clean start, it looks like. One of the most orderly all season. Let's get after it. Bit of contact early in this lap, but everybody else continues on. Through turn 3 and headed down the S's will go. Boy, that is a view.
That is an amazing view. I love watching this. And look at that, It's essentially a train, Andrew. It's really nice to see. As you can see, pretty much everybody, we have a few cars, looks like struggling a little bit, losing a few positions. But looks like, Andrew, so far, everybody made it through the first tricky corners. Now approaching, well, the back straightaway. This is where we might see a lot of moves being made, especially with exits like that. Alex Persian trying to get past the number 180, but that mistake that allowed him to get side by side just allowed him to check up a little bit, and he might not have enough, or you'll have to brave around the outside. That's going to be interesting coming down the braking zone.
Persian's going to have that spot, but Ashburn could challenge the braking zone, and he does. Right, heavy on the brakes, he's going to whip it around and goes for a spin. Teague Ashburn, a very big early mistake, backs it into the sand trap, the gravel trap, and he's going to have to wait on the entire field to come on through. Now has a chance to get back going. Big problems there, and a stack up you can see right in front of him as he tries to get back going. Sean Patterson, maybe Clarence Rosa involved. I'm trying to find these guys. Mike Weir and some others, so big problems there as lap 1 comes to a close.
So in the final part of the lap, we saw trouble. Yeah, that's just the nature. Sometimes you just overpush a little bit too much. Teague Ashburn, unfortunately, found out that in the wrong way. Well, he was inside the top 10. Now he currently finds himself in, well, last place, 27. So unfortunately for him, but you can see the rest of the field injury.
Look at that.
Don't have a lot of... What?
Look at that view.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. We have a bit of separation, but so far, not as much as I would have thought, which is really good. Obviously, we have this last pack a little bit more separated, but the top 10 is still very close together. The top 20, actually. 27
car field as one car did not make the start. So Teague Ashburn has dropped down to that 27th position, already a lap down, it looks like, in the pit lane, and taking repairs. Clarence Rosa with troubles, car 98. Oh boy, he's on the club circuit. How did he get over there?
I don't know. Nate, I don't know.
That takes
maybe
talent.
On the exit. Yeah, it takes talent or a little bit of bad luck. Wouldn't say it was down in turn 5 because I saw that happening before. No, yeah.
So this is all the way back to the chicane. Turns 10A and 10B. Look at this stack up. So Dan Weir got turned around initially and cars piled in. Now let's stay here with Clarence Rosa and you'll see some of the issues that spark up. Other drivers had to ditch down to the pit lane, grab their fast repairs and get back out onto the racetrack, and it looks like Clarence realizes a little bit later that he's got too much damage to safely continue, and he actually takes the cut through there for the club circuit to get back around to the other side of the track without too much issue. I guess opting not to take turns 5, 6, and 7. Felt like, yeah, big problems there turning to the left. Now, those are right-hand corners aside from turn 5. I can understand, actually, if that's the case. If you can't turn left, why you would then omit turn 5, because that's definitely a sharp left-hand corner.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, yeah, that's going to carry out a few penalties. He's definitely going to get the slowdown cleared. But yeah, unfortunately for
yeah, it'll just default straight to a track cut. It's going to be a complete cut of the racecourse. So that'll be a black flag automatically held in the pit lane. But I mean, he's got other larger issues at that point already. So he comes around. At that point, yeah, he just ends up towing. Can't blame him.
Yeah, no, you can't blame him at all. Unfortunately, that might be the end of his race as well. So yeah, Road Atlanta taking its first victims. Not surprising, but still unfortunate to see.
Your first big battle up front, it's Diego Etta and Alex Persian. They're split apart a little bit, but Persian is certainly closing in. This is for the 5th spot on the racetrack. So to break into the top 5 here for Persian. Not a great qualifying effort, all things considered. Was really slow that first lap, then brought it back, and maybe just, struggling a little bit with this car here. But he's still putting some pressure here on Diego. Brian Zinn isn't far up the road, and then your top 3 are relatively close, only separated by a couple of seconds. Agustin Castro, Ryan Kerr, and Scott Angelo. And Ryan Kerr is only going to keep that pressure on Agustin Castro, I think, this entire race. They, of course, had that coming together last week at Charlotte. Wouldn't be surprised if we see these two get close like that again, hopefully without that contact.
Yeah, hopefully without the contact. I would like to see these guys battling head to tail, nose to tail. Really close between those. I would really love to see that. And obviously, Andrew, the number 79, Alex Persian, he really needs to pick up a few extra positions. He's currently sitting 2nd in the championship, obviously 2 points behind the number 014. And, well, he's only 5 points clear of Brian Zinn, so he really needs to pick up the pace and make a few positions if he wants to retain that position. But, yeah, so far the number 14 seems to be in control, although Kerr is really closing in, but looks like he's just holding back maybe till the end of the race.
And, of course, this amateur division has no pit stops, so Alex doesn't have the pit stop strategy to rely on to make up any time. He's just got to go out there and make up the 3 seconds that he's missing, or 3.6 seconds that he's missing to Agustin Castro at this point. And it really does just come down to the driver in these races. I like that. I really enjoy non-pit stop strategy personally, but I get why drivers do enjoy that pit stop strategy. It gives them a chance to reset, gives them an extra dynamic to work with. John Kroom is working on Todd Malik, by the way. This is in the midfield. Mike Braun is close behind. And Kroom was just a whole lot closer, but now falling into the clutches potentially of Mike Braun, who's going to have a chance to try and pass the Rockefeller Racing 45 to get into the top 10.
It's a battle just for the top 10. You can see Kroom in 10th place, losing a little bit of time on the entry of 5, but gaining a bit of that time back on the exit. So, yeah, as you mentioned, and lost a bit of contact with Malik just ahead. And, yeah, you can see this group outside of the top 10 really close. As you can see, Rasmussen holding off, getting off a lot of pressure. Oh, he just got by.
Yeah, just got by. You can see them side by side in the distance. And we'll come back up here then to where Dre DeVats is actually working on a pretty good run. This is one of the better runs he's had so far this season. Had a really good run at one race. I forget where that might have been. It might have been back at Spa. And then just one little thing went wrong and his entire race kind of came crashing down. But in this case, Dre is looking pretty good, just outside the top 10. In fact, matching his car number, position number 12 currently, but that is well inside the top half of the field. And I think easily, if he plays the attrition game, he can make up a few more spots and certainly grab a top 10. He's just got to stay in it and not make a mistake.
Absolutely. Just keeping your nose on the racetrack will definitely gain you a lot of positions, especially around Road Atlanta. And obviously, there's no room for mistakes around here. You really cannot afford any sort of mistake. As you can see, drivers behind him battling. That's really good battle between these two. I'm really liking to see that. And that, I guess, originated from Andrea going a little bit defensive down into turn 1. This is Dan Willis and Elias Speaker.
So watching Ilya Speaker now work on Dan Willis and see if he can get back to him. Dan got right on by him very, very easily. And I'm surprised we've seen the moves that we've seen made as, Andrew Rasmussen just bend the car. I'm surprised we're seeing guys comfortable with passing JP coming into the S's. I would not have expected that coming over turn 3 or at all in the S's. Dan Willis, I wouldn't say forcing any kind of issue, but passing where I wouldn't have conventionally thought that he would have passed.
Yeah, it looks like drivers are just taking any sort of opportunity. Now we're going to see what happened to number 11. And do I wonder if this is down into turn number 5?
Oh,
no.
Aubrey Kundle.
Well, before, so he just checks up to avoid contact. And yeah, the concrete wall just came in a bit too quickly for him, and that was, oh, that's all she wrote.
And we saw an incident actually somewhat like that in BSR earlier today, JP, where one driver made contact with the car ahead, and it actually stuck the nose of the car almost in the ground and spun the car around, right? You know, I don't want to say almost in the ground. That's probably not the right way to put it, but it pivoted the car behind as opposed to pivoting the car ahead. So maybe I don't even know what that would be. I don't even know what kind of issue that is, but we're seeing more and more of that, it seems like, as time goes on here on iRacing. Now, your top 7, separated by a second apiece, if not more. Alex Persian nearly 2 seconds back of Diego Eda, and it looks like Alex Persian has run those tires off pretty quickly. This is not at all what I expected here.
Yeah, this could definitely happen if you just overheat those tires, keep them out of the cycles. Looks like the number 10 has a little bit of issue, Jeff Castillo. So it looks like he's just going to be trying to rejoin the racetrack and maybe head straight down to the pits to get the damage fixed. But yeah, tires are obviously a big concern with these guys. If you just, well, overheat them, they're probably going to be gone until they come back in temperature and the grip comes back. So it's a really difficult situation to be in. Now we're going to take a look at exactly what happened to Jeff. It looks like he already has a bit of damage injury coming into turn 1.
You see that damage on the right front? Now, where does this happen? It looks like it's just out of turn 5. So we'll see how he runs through the S's here and see if it just kind of gets his rhythm out of whack. And that's the first big thing. Usually if there's an issue in turn 5, either a driver ran wide or they got the rhythm out of whack. Oh boy, this thing out of whack. He just lost it coming down the S's. So that car having some issues, I think, with downforce. And then I don't think it was here where we saw him, and it might have been. Don't remember it. Yeah, I guess it was here. Really odd place to have this kind of an issue.
Yeah, it's a really odd situation, just losing grip, and unfortunately for him, it's going to be even more damage added to his car. But yeah, I guess that keeps our eyes open to even more instances similar to that could happen. But so far, well, he's the only one that, well, did it on his own. As now we can see the number 14, Max Tinkerell, chasing down Contreras just ahead. This is a battle for the 15th position, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, if you consider Aubrey Kundal part of it, that's absolutely correct. I would, in fact, consider this a 3-car battle. Aubrey Kundal not very far ahead. In fact, it's a 4-car battle, really, with that car behind and Bobby Flack. So this is Aubrey Kundal in 15th, Julio Contreras in 16th, Max Tankerell in the red 14 in the 17th spot, and Bobby Flack in the 22 car. White nose, yellow body in the 18th position. And really the last of the drivers that are in the lead pack, or really just lead string of cars. There's no pack, as Bobby Flack goes way wide in 1. Maybe they are having issues getting the nose to turn. Maybe these tires are just burning off. This is really odd.
It's just a difficult situation. With 18 minutes, these drivers are already struggling with tires. Well, unfortunately, they're going to be for a bad ride. But yeah, some of them, like Max Tinkerell, well, they're clearly not struggling injured. They're happy to be running very close to their competitors, which around Road Atlanta, I don't think it's the best thing to happen unless you're in the back straightaway.
Max Tankerell going to set up 6 and 7, see if he can get a run onto the back stretch and follow Julio Contreras, try and get a run, and that's just not going to happen this time, it looks like. Dan Willis, though. Does he have a run potentially for Dre Vivants? No, and there's really not been any passing here in the midfield. A very quiet race. This is almost abnormal for these amateur Porsche Cup guys, as Willis takes a look initially at turn 10, thinks better of it, and that's not a place really to pass just yet. Although Dre is a little bit offline there in 10A and 10B, gives up a little bit of time, backs up a little bit to Dan Willis. This might be an opportunity by turn 1.
Yeah, this can definitely be. It looks like the number 12 is going to hold his ground, but definitely needs to keep his eyes open, at least for those exits. You know, it's really important, and especially down into turn number 1, if you're just a bit too, I guess, cautious, you can say, you're going to lose a lot of time. But so far, looks like he's keeping himself at least on rails, as he's trying to do. And yeah, holding that 12th position is really strongly, just trying to soak in all that pressure injury and chasing a guy in front of you while you're being pressured from behind. It's a really difficult situation to be in. Hopefully he can pull himself, well, a good pace to, well, maybe battle for the top 10.
And I would say really that Dre Vivants is feeling that pressure while he's chasing. He's got Dan Willis close behind and then trying to get up there to Mike Braun. I really wonder if Dre is starting to flip over into defense mode as opposed to go fast mode, you know, go catch Mike Braun and some others. So Dre Bot, I'm sure, is very aware of car 127 on his rear end and in his mirrors. We'll see how that evolves over the course of the day. Now, there has been some more separation added just ahead. Your two leaders, they're getting closer together, but Scott Angelo is some 3 seconds back. Oh, we've just had a position change for 5th. Here we go. Out of 10B, Diego Eda looks like has a slip up and allows Alex Persian to go on through. This is pretty large, actually, as far as the championship implications. As we come down to the end of the season here, this is actually going to be a very important pass.
Absolutely. That's going to guarantee a Persian to get a few extra points. And you can see it all starts with a lockup down into 10A. And yeah, just better line. Obviously, the number 77 was just compromised a little bit on the exit. And yeah, that's just essentially what happens. As easy, I guess, as clear as daylight, you can say, a move. And, well, pretty good one. It's going to get him even more points, and now he finds himself in the top 5.
Now looking back from Agustin Castro at Ryan Kerr, and Ryan keeps making little surges up ahead to be about a half second off of Agustin, and then falls back to about 3/4 of a second. And then it comes right back to half a second, then back to 3/4, and I think I'm seeing why. This backstretch draft is really bringing Ryan Kerr back into the fold a little bit by 10A, but then through the rest of the twisty bits, Agustin pulls a couple of tenths, and Ryan is able to draft back up. So just kind of maintaining that gap right now is Ryan Kerr, keeping just a little bit of pressure on, but I don't think Agustin is really feeling it just yet.
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe Agustin knows he has the pace over the infield, and it's only the slipstream allowing Kerr to be pushed, well, reeled back in. But obviously, Kerr, Andrew, as well, he needs to keep up at least a decent gap, as you have here. Looks like Devot's losing quite a bit of ground on the exit of the chicane. And while he's going to lose a ton of positions, at least, well, 3 I counted. But yeah, really unfortunate circumstances for him.
Go back and check this one out. As this was actually a battle we were watching for some time. Dre had already let Dan Willis go by, it looks like. So we'll pick this up. You can see that Neon Maradnas car just ahead. And this is going to happen into turn 10. Aubrey Kundal and, boy, who is that? Ilya Speaker just behind. Let's go on board with Ilya and see how this all gets set up. Down the backstretch, pulling this draft. Again, you can land plane back here. This is a very long straightaway. I wonder if this would fit within F1's regulations for a Grade 1 circuit. Well, FIA's regulations for a Grade 1 circuit that can host Formula 1. I wonder how it compares. I don't actually know the length of the straightaway, but I wonder how that length compares as, let's see, Dre locks up. Very similar to Diego's mistake.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, just locked up a bit too much, carried way too much speed that he couldn't even, well, essentially make it through, I guess, 10B on a racing speed. And unfortunately, well, ended up losing positions even before 10B. But yeah, unfortunately for him, really unfortunate circumstances, I guess that's the best way I can put it. As Persian, well, Andrew, looks like his tires came back to life, and he's really pressuring Brian Zinn. We might see actually a move down into turn number 1. Yes, we do. So Persian really coming back to life on this latter stage of the race. Beautiful pass down into turn number 1. Well, he's up to 4th place.
Good pass there for Alex Persian to move ahead into 4th spot, but he's got a long road ahead if he wants to go get Scott Angelo somewhere to the tune of 3 seconds. He'll catch car 168. Let's fall back to John Kroom, who's got some pressure on his teammate as Milan Harris lets him go by through the S's, and oh, he's well offline. This looks like a problem for Milan Harris. I wonder if he's able to resume pace with these guys. Yeah, passing in the S's or letting somebody pass in the S's is usually not a great idea.
Yeah, not ideal to be passing. Obviously, not a lot of room, and not any room for mistakes. In fact, as you can see, even more battles coming down into, I almost said Lesmos, Andrew, turn 6 and 7. Almost said it down to the Lesmos. And yeah, I guess you could pull the comparison out of that. I really like that comparison. Never heard it before, actually. But yeah, 12 minutes and 30 to go. Andrew, racing is starting to get a bit more hectic, which is, I guess, exactly what we want to see.
This is a look at 10th, 11th, and 12th. Mike Braun, Dan Willis, and Milan Harris. Milan Harris just let a bunch of cars go by through the S's this lap, and is now starting to put some pressure on as, oh, Miguel Cardozo for the Juncos team way out in the dirt there through turn 10. Loses all of those spots. He will drop down to 11th place now and promote Dan Willis into the top 10. Milan Harris to the 11th position. Let's see how that one started. I wonder, do we see our 3rd straight lockup in 10A?
I think so. I think that's a very high possibility. We're just going to see down into the braking zone, and this should answer all our questions. Does he carry a bit too much speed?
Lockup,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. There you go. Unfortunately, he decides to cut the corner, which is gonna yield him a slowdown penalty, so he's gonna lose even more time. And yeah, just how quickly, that's how quickly, Andrew, your race can turn on its head.
A pretty incident-free race as a whole. We've only got a couple of cars in the pit lane. In fact, Teague Ashburn, Mike Weir, and Jeff Castillo, the only drivers out of this race. Andrew Rasmussen and Clarence Rosa, the only cars one lap down. Here's a look at Rasmussen in the 23rd position, and Clarence Rosa in 24th. Of course, we saw both of these drivers with their issues. Here's Joshua Benjamin, well off the mark, and I don't know what it's been for Joshua this season, but since unloading at Hockenheim, I think Hockenheim might have been one of his best races, and he's just kind of been off the mark both in the Porsche Cup Series and in the GT3 Series. He was so good back to season 1 in GT3, and since then, he's really fallen off.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, it hasn't been the greatest of season. Obviously, a few changes, to tires, the BOP, something like that, it may not have suited his racing style. And it's really unfortunate because we know how great of a driver he is. And, well, I cannot wait to see him bouncing back in the future. Looks like he makes a position, or is that a lapped car, the number 98?
Yeah, that was a lap car, Clarence Rosa, 1 lap down. You can see that the tracker, actually, the next car ahead for position, that's Sean Patterson, well up the road in position 21. In fact, Sean Patterson is already through turn 9, headed down to 10A, and that's another 9 seconds from Patterson up to Grabowski for the 20th spot, who is chasing Bowerman by 10 seconds. So these guys in the back, they've spaced way out. They probably had some issues, small issues. You can see some damage there for Grabowski, and they've just kind of fallen off a bit. Andrew Rasmussen has just had another problem. He's in the pit lane, and he is done. Milan Harris, a problem, out of turn 7. So as soon as I say it's been an incident-free race, relatively, we've got some incidents, JP.
Yeah, and that's just going to be maybe just applying power, digging a wheel into the gravel, in the grass. So, yeah, maybe just a self-inflicted wound. Obviously, we're going to get, the full confirmation in just a few seconds. But, yeah, coming out of turn 7, he doesn't lose it on entry. Oh, just didn't even touch the wheel on the grass. It was just a bit too eager on the throttle.
Yeah, it just whipped around on him. It's not like that was wheel spin or anything necessarily. These cars have traction control, I do believe, but yeah, and it didn't whip around like it was wheel spin. It just, the car was upset, and it might have been a little bit of wheel chatter, maybe trying to wheel spin and chattering the TC a little bit, but really odd spin there for Milan Harris. We've seen a lot of odd issues, but not too many issues as a whole. Certainly not as many as we saw at Long Beach last Thursday. So a relatively calm race, at least in that respect. Here's Dan Willis chasing down John Kroon. This is for 8th.
Just with the battle for 8th, with 8 minutes left to go. Dan Willis, well, he's still chasing, and hopefully he can get only 14ths of a second, and we could see him move down into the chicane. I think it's too far away in this occasion, but with 8 minutes to go, those drivers that may have preserved their tires a little bit, they might have an advantage. And but looks like these two are pretty balanced, at least on tire wear.
Dan Willis with the late brakes there to try and close in maybe a little bit, gets that first apex nicely. Second apex looks even better, and is going to catch up a little bit to John Kroon as Ilya Speaker just let a car go by and let Aubrey Kundal pass into 10A, and now Dre DeMont's going to have an opportunity to close in. There is not a whole lot going on except for this. Willis able to set up Kroon for a pass potentially in 1. Contact. They hit, they touch, and Willis goes on by. That's good for 8th.
Yeah, it's good for 8th. That was, how can we say injury? That was shoulders out, guns out. And, well, he gets the position.
Do you recall what you said at Knock Hill today?
No, I didn't.
Robin is racing.
Oh, Robin's racing. There we go. So, yeah, Robin is racing. He gets the move done. Luckily for Kroon, he didn't dip a wheel on the grass. That was really close between those two. It could have ended in tears, but, oh, this battle right here, Kern lost quite a bit of contact, 0.8 of a second. He was half a second behind on the previous lap, so losing a little bit of time just on the edge of the slipstream as well, Andrew. If he wants to get close in half with 7 minutes to go, he needs to close in this gap.
Through the chicane there to wrap up this lap. We'll come down turns 11 and 12. And we have got 6 laps to go, it looks like. That number may change. That may drop down to 5. We're on lap 18 of 23. That is 6, but that may come down to 5. We'll see how that goes as Kerr continues to pursue Agustin Castro. Castro, of course, your points leader over Alex Persian, who has made up some inroads actually to Scott Angelo. We may not miss a podium here for Alex Persian. It may still happen. I'm kind of surprised actually he was able to run this guy down, and hey, props to him.
Yeah, just under a second as well. Really good pace from Persian, and we thought he was, well, his tires were done, Andrew, with what, 10-15 minutes into the race? Not even that. So
yeah,
really good to see him back. Really good to see his tires up and back. But yeah, he still has a big challenge. He's gonna lose a little bit of time in that situation, but yeah, just barely 1.2, 1.1 seconds behind Scott Angelo. This is definitely not over.
Bobby Flack lets Julio Contreras go on by. That's for 16th as we continue to watch Persian work down the backstretch. Got up by Clarence Rosa there. Rosa goes one more lap down. He's now 2 laps down, and Joshua Benjamin has recently gone a lap down. Rasmussen and Castillo are both out of the race now. Weir and Ashburn are out of the race, although Ashburn is still in the session. So we'll see if that changes potentially. Aubrey Kundal is close for 11th. That's on Cardozo. Let's go ahead and go back there actually for a moment. This is for the, well, as I said, 11th spot. They are about a second back out of the top 10, so I wouldn't say that this is a battle to get close to the top 10, but it could be a battle to get close to the top 10 as Kundal looks to the inside of 1. Certainly nowhere near to make a move. He's got to set up these S's, set up this lap, JP. How do you do so?
Setting up an overtake around here is pretty difficult. Obviously, you can cook quite a bit of turn number 3 to get a good inroad, but obviously, it's all about the exits. You need to get a good enough exit, especially out of turn number 7. Closing up a lot into turn 5, it's possible if you have the confidence, but obviously, risking it all, Andrew, on the final few minutes of the race, it's really difficult to justify. And, well, Kundal just needs to focus. Oh, as we have Julio Contreras, looks like with trouble. And that is outside of turn 3?
Outside of the S's, I think. Headed down the S's, so in between 4 and 5. Trevor with big issues, and one of the other issues that we've seen through the S's today, we've seen several of them. I say several, a handful anyway. Because again, this has been a relatively incident-light race. I don't know what it is about this this track. It's been handling intensive, certainly, but we haven't seen too many big crashes or anything, too many multi-car incidents, mostly just one-offs like this, with Cardozo just a little bit wide, didn't have grip, goes off into the wall. That's one of your most classic racing incidents, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And unfortunately for him, he got to experience on the final few minutes of the race. Really heartbreaking. Got a feel for him, but yeah, unfortunately, that's, as you mentioned, Andrew, it's really common to happen. It could happen to anyone, and unfortunately happened to him.
Oh, Mike Braun in the wall. That looks like maybe in the S's as well. I'm not sure where that is. I think that might have been out of turn 1, actually. I mentioned that Cardozo and Kundal would be close to maybe vying for a top 10. Well, Mike Braun was 10th, and he had lost some time. You can see how close Cardozo had gotten. This is into turn 1 now, just as we came back from lead play, and Cardozo to the inside, I think just spooks Mike, and that's the first big turn 1 issue we've seen at Road Atlanta in a while.
Yeah, might just be, I think, yeah, it is actually. And, well, just carrying a bit too much speed, as you mentioned, you're getting a little bit spooked. Really unfortunate for him as well, running in a good position, and, well, all that work has been undone. Yeah, just gonna keep an eye out, and, well, keeping an eye out, Andrew, we have to, on this battle right here, Alex Persian only half a second behind Scott Angelo. The gap is coming down, so it looks like it's the tire grip. Oh, and look at this one.
Great battle here to get into the top 10. So that same place that we just saw the incident with Mike Braun, Cardozo's got that top 10 spot now, and both Kundal and Speaker want a shot at it. Kundal and Speaker in the 11th and 12th positions. They had their own little battle. Kundal got to the inside of Cardozo momentarily in 10A, and now falling back just a little bit. Persian getting to about a half second back here. This is through turn 5. So 2 battles simultaneously happening that are really, really good and really important to watch, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know which one to follow, actually, because these two ones, obviously this one is deciding the final step of the podium. The other one is deciding the final position in the top 10. Really intriguing. This one, well, just in the straightaway might be interesting to see. I don't think Persian might be too close, but obviously he can just, well, lick the stamp and send it, as Daniel Ricciardo would say. It's pretty far away. But yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. But if he just keeps on closing, applying the pressure, we saw plenty of mistakes happening of the driver ahead locking up. Persian gets really close to Angelo, but Angelo nails that apex.
Alex has used the draft and likely, I would imagine, some Moradnis help atop the box to kind of reel him in. And thank you, EJ, for letting me know there is no TC on these Cup cars. I'm quite surprised that these guys don't wheel spin out of more corners. I've not noticed it when I race, but anyhow, you've got Alex Persian very, very close here. Again, I'd imagine using some help from Moradnis on top of the box. I wonder if that's Giuliano helping him out this week again or what have you, but he was looking like he was starting to get flustered early in the race, trying to break through those tires, and now has reeled himself back in. He'd gotten very close in 10A, 10B, now loses some time through the first section, this first sector of this lap. Angelo a bit wobbly there, Persian a bit wide. Both of these drivers, I think, understand what they're racing for, and they're certainly going to go down with a fight.
Yeah, absolutely. These two are going to go at it until the final corner of the race. And obviously, Andrew, if you're approaching the final lap of the race, even the final corner, the pressure is going to be on to you to essentially nail and hold that position. And that's going to apply for these guys as well. Any sort of mistake on the final lap of the race is going to cost you a ton of position. So it's really going to be interesting to see who's going to excel and if someone is going to crack under pressure.
And you can see Aubrey Kundal has gotten on by Miguel Cardoso for the 10th spot. Ilya Speaker not able to advance his position. And Ryan Kerr, I think at just the right time, starting to peak here as we take the white flag presented by Whiplash SimCams. 1 lap to go at Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta, and the two leaders within just a few tenths of each other, and behind them, a battle for third within a few tenths of each other, Angelo and Persian. So very similar battles, I think, in this last lap amongst the top 4.
Absolutely. This is going to get interesting. Obviously, this is a perfect time for Kurt to close in back. He's still half a second away. He needs to be closer. And obviously, on the final lap, you don't have a lot of opportunities. So, really just throwing everything at it. Persian as well got the gap down to less than 0.4 of a second, which is exactly what he needs.
Both of these moves need to come in 10A.
Yeah, absolutely. They have to come. Looks like this gap is still maintaining at 4.5 tenths. This is going to get close, Andrew.
This is going to be close. I'm not sure if Kerr is going to have the opportunity he needs through 6 and 7. Persian looked great out of 7 earlier. No, he's wide in 7. That's absolutely going to do it. There's no way Alex Persian gets there now. Over a second and a quarter, about a second and a quarter behind Brian Zinn. That's not going to happen. Up to the race lead then. Ryan Kerr, Agustin Castro rather, and no dice there. Ryan Kerr does close into the first apex, but not able to do anything with it. And in rather, I think, unexciting fashion, Agustin Castro has a 3rd win on the season. Congratulations to car 014. Just a commanding win.
Absolutely. Controlling the pace, soaking in all the pressure, doing everything he needs. He's going to win the race. Scott Angel is going to hold off Alex Persian for 3rd place. A good comeback race from the number 79 as well, Andrew, as the rest of the field is coming in. We have a car coming down a pit lane. As you can see, the rest of the top 10. And it looks like Aubrey Kondo got past Miguel Cardoso for 10th place.
Yeah, we covered that coming to the white flag. What is interesting is Dan Willis and Todd Malik swap spots there in 10 and 11. Willis gets on by for the 7th position. And I'm actually surprised Todd Malik gave that one up on the last lap. But these guys coming on through. Bobby Flack is next up. There goes Bobby across the line. Julio Contreras is next up. And Billy Bowerman should come on through here in just one moment. There is Contreras across the line, and Bowerman will come across. And then, let's see, Milan Harris will come through, and Steven Grabowski will be the final car across the start-finish line to wrap up here. Oh, Billy Bowerman actually way out wide. Milan Harris should come on by in about 8 more seconds. There he is, headed down the hill, and Steven Grabowski about the same length back. And Giuliano in the chat, mentioning that Moradnis coaching just led to a 2nd place, a 3rd place, and a 4th place for their associated drivers. That's Ryan Kerr, Scott Angelo, and Alex Persian. 3 really big players in this championship. Let's go ahead and bring up our race results. And JP, here is your amateur top 10.
So as we mentioned, the number 014 of Agustin Castro won the race, less than half a second ahead of Ryan Kerr in 2nd place. Scott Angelo in 3rd. 4th place goes the ways of Alex Persian. So as you mentioned, Andrew, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th for Moradnis coaching. Brian Zinn is going to finish in 5th place. Diego Ara in 6th place. Dan Willis in 7th. Todd Malik in 8th. John Kroom in 9th. And Aubrey Kondo is going to finish in 10th place.
Finishing 11th, you'll find car 49, Miguel Cardoso, right in that battle with Kundal. Speaker comes home in the 12th position. You can see how close they were at the line, just 2/10 apart. In fact, even closer than that, with Dre Divatz a couple of seconds back in 13th. Max Tankerell a half second back of Dre Divatz there in the 14th spot, matching his car number. Bobby Flatt came on through for 15th. Julio Contreras grabbed 16th spot. Billy Bowerman 17th. Milan Harris and Steven Grabowski, they wrap up the final lap. In fact, the final cars on the lead lap in 18th and 19th spots, and Sean Patterson hangs on for a top 20, albeit one lap down.
One lap down as well is going to be Joshua Benjamin, 21st place. 2 laps down is going to be Clarence Rose in 22nd. Mike Braun, 3 laps down in 23rd. Then we have Andrew Rasmussen in 24th. Jeff Castillo in 25th. Mike Rear in 26th. Teague Ashburn in 27th. And Armando Bejarano in 28th place.
Now, while it looks like we don't have Agustin Castro at this moment, one thing I want to talk about, JP, is yes, car count's a little bit different than what we saw earlier in the season, but I got to be honest, I think I like this a little more. A chance for these guys to really race, for the drivers to make more of a difference, and less chaos, less calamity.
Yes, absolutely. It brings less, obviously, less of a car count as well. It would, but it brings that special factor. And we have less chance of a big car pileup, and it keeps things, I guess, not a little bit more organized, but I don't know the word in English, but it keeps it, I guess, a little more interesting sometimes.
Yeah, I think definitely what you're looking for in a race is for the driver to make the difference, for there not to be too many crashes, there not to be too many massive accidents or anything like that. So definitely what you're looking for here, what we got tonight. Agustin Castro has gone and connected to the Discord channel. Let's go ahead and bring in race winner here in the amateur round number 7 at Road Atlanta.
So Agustin, I want to hear from the driver who won the race. How was the track conditions today on the Porsche Cup car?
Oh, hi guys. It was very tricky. It was a tow race. And the car in the rear, it was very loosey, and I don't know, it was. Ryan holds the pressure all the time, so he made me sweat.
And you did an amazing job of soaking in all the pressure. How do you manage to, well, essentially just control the pace for the whole race without making a single mistake?
Well, I knew in the first sector I was faster, so I was confident about that. And yeah, in the straight, the long straight, he sorry, take a lot of turns, but yeah, I know.
And I mean, with one race to go, obviously winning this race is going to give you a good boost in the championship. What should we expect from the number 014 up in Red Bull Ring?
I know I will keep a lot of practice. I will I know I will go to win, so don't leave to the lucky.
Well, absolutely. Well, Agustin, I'm gonna wish you a week's rest, and hopefully we can talk to you in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, I hope we can talk again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Andrew, that was Agustin Castro. Really good race, as you can see on the ticker. Started first, was as high as first, and as low as first. Well, so I guess it's what you want in a race.
Perfect race then for Agustin Castro. Claims another race win and matches Alex Persian's number of 3 wins now on the season. For Ryan Kerr, Scotty Angelo, I see you guys in the Discord channel. We don't have time, unfortunately, to get to you guys for a voice interview, but by all means, send a message over to our social media op, Zach Murtis, and he can get a text post out for you guys, at least of what you think of your race. We're going to go ahead and take our step aside for our quick intermission between races. We've got Pro and Pro-Am competition coming up in just a few short moments, and we'll be right back to you with that action on PitStopTV. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the virtual Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. Thanks for sticking with us through that quick intermission. We're already into qualifying now for the pros and pro-ams. Cars on track for 10 minutes to set their best lap times and see where they can start their races from here in just a few, well, in fact, in about 8 minutes, because 10-minute session. So, JP, one race down, 30 minutes of racing out of the way, 15 minutes now to go with our next race on deck. Andre Melcher is certainly one of the drivers we have to watch whenever these guys are in, well, whenever NARL is on track anywhere, and he's one of the first on the racetrack as well.
Absolutely, and that's not something we're used to seeing him being one of the first on the racetrack. Normally, we see him, well, saving the best for last, essentially. So, looking to already set the benchmark, should be a fast time as usual, but I wonder if anyone can upset the pole position that might be coming for Andre. As you can see, Laurent Zavadil, he's our Pro-Am Championship leader so far, so he has a lot on his shoulders as well, Andrew.
Look at Daniel Thomas. We'll just go through as many of the paint schemes as we possibly can here before they start running laps. Before they start registering laps, there's James Hansen in car 904, Justin Sang and car 188. We've got John Sedlak in car 203 as per usual. Same paint scheme there. And Nick Peterson even out there in his plain Jane Porsche GT3 Cup car. I really do like that yellow car as per usual. Scott Reiser out there in a TAM liveries number 142. Lawrence Zavadil first to go fastest. He gets the first purple time of the day. And in fact, he's much quicker already than Andre Melcher's. Let's see, a half second or so even quicker than Brady Lubenow, Matthew Dench, and some others. So, you know, we want to be on Lawrence's case here to not move him up to pro just yet. But when he goes up there purple like that, it's hard to argue against it. That said, look at Manuel Scully up to the top of the board for Juncos.
Yeah, doing a really good job. Obviously, just got beat by this guy, Luke Krause, by less than a tenth. So really close between them. As you can see, Nato Nascimento as well, 2/10 of a second behind Paul, currently in third place. A lot of close times, Andrew. We still have a lot of drivers yet to set their fastest lap times. First, for a lot of these drivers, well, have been a banker. Some other drivers already going for it. Really interesting to see these different strategies already emerging in qualifying.
Here's a look at Brady Lubenow. Again, love that car. Love when he debuted it last week at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Love the accent of the Bender helmet on the inside as well from Futurama. Appreciate that one. Rafael Bonifacio, last week's amateur Pro-Am winner rather. Looking pretty spiffy, but not as quick as I would have thought. In fact, he's 5th in Pro-Am, 6th in Pro-Am actually, with Laurent Zavadil way up the order. Here is your next best Pro-Am driver. Looks like he's not only a fan of chicken, but a fan of the Spartans as well, as he's got a Spartan helmet on his hood, and Reed Gibson goes around in turn 3 as Andre Melchers goes purple that lap.
There you go. So setting the benchmark, Matthew Dench in second place. So really good to see him, not only him back, but well, setting a good qualifying lap. Just got beat by this guy, the number 55, Roman Yolo. So close qualifying is obviously, I guess we can say close, Andrew, 2.5 tenths away. Yeah, it's something we're used to seeing, but still very good to see the rest of the field essentially close to each other.
Here's last week's winner, Victor Miranda. Been so quick as of late. Paulo Gadai just went fastest in Pro-Am, actually. Lawrence Zavadil has dropped down the order to 11th spot. Beaten now by Curtis Jones and Paulo Gadai. Paulo Gadai in 5th overall, Curtis Jones in 7th. What happened to Lawrence Zavadil? Can he go faster this lap? Last lap, it looks like, was zeroed out with an off track, so we'll see if he can go better this time around and not have that off track. Let's check in with Fabio Zamperlini as well as his paint loads. There he is. Red Hawk Racing headed down the backstretch. Bonifacio goes a bit faster, and boy, just what a good time so far.
Yeah, plenty of good times, plenty of Pro-Am drivers, 3 Pro-Am drivers in the top 10. Fabio Zamperlini, well, he's going to finish up his lap just exiting the chicane, coming down the hill. We're just going to have to wait and see if he finds himself in the top 10. At least for his first time. Victor Miranda goes quickest by over 2/10 of a second. Really good lap for him. Fabio Zamperlini looks like, unfortunately, he's going to sit outside of the top 10.
11th, though.
11th, yeah. So just outside, but yeah, Victor Miranda, what a lap.
Oh, Justin Sang with some problems. He has not gotten a lap in just yet. Scott Reiser's down on the board. He's 26th. Nicholas Michel, though, up to position, that is 17. Reiser goes up to 24th. So a few of these guys grabbing some spots late in the session. Andre Melchers could still go faster. He's only on lap number 3. He got those laps done slowly.
So maybe
and he's going to spin.
Oh, yeah. That's qualifying done, and wow,
so even the
that's not
pros can make
something-
big mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely. Even the pros, just showing the human side once again, just showing you can easily make mistakes. And yeah, unfortunately, that's going to be the end of qualifying for the number 25. And that should guarantee Victor Miranda as our pole sitter.
It should, as Andre actually back on track. I don't think it's going to count for anything, but going back out there to, I guess, get more laps. I'm not really sure what he can do. He's already registered on lap number 3 as Reed Gibson goes up to 17th, goes a bit faster. Alessandro Torchio in car 173 in 21st for Yokos Esports. Scott Reiser, as I mentioned, up to 25th. In fact, he's actually got an extra lap. He's coming back around to finish up lap number 3. He could go faster.
So all eyes now on Scott Reiser. He currently sits in a 121.0, 2 seconds away from pole. He definitely wants to improve that. Coming down the hill, just 1 corner to go. It's flat out. Go as smoothly as possible. And that's a second improvement for him right then and there, and he's gonna find himself just outside the top 10, 13th place. So yeah, good qualifying session for him, putting, well, I guess soaking in the pressure when he needed to. Justin Sang struggling a little bit with grip, as you can see, he was essentially drifting out of turn 3.
On board here with Justin Sang, he is on lap number 3, does not have a clean lap in yet, and that may invalidate this one as well, but trying to set one finally. We'll see if he's able to do so. Alessandro Torchio goes faster, up to 19th spot from 22nd, ahead of Max Wobbles, Brady Lubinow, and Nicholas Michel. We'll see here what Sang can do now onto the back stretch out of turn 7.
So now all he needs to do is essentially keep his pedal to the metal, and he has only one braking zone, well, to either make it or break it on his lap. Obviously, it was not the greatest of start with that lack of grip outside of turn number 3. Coming down into the chicane, we're just going to have to wait and see if he nails it. Deep under braking, wide, should have cut a little bit more on both occasions, I think, but getting a good exit. This is going to be a good banker lap for him, at least to put himself on the board. This is going to be a 119.20, 21.496, and that's going to put him outside of the top 20.
And Sang will go out with a bang after his qualifying lap puts him 27th position on the board. Andre Melcher is still on the racetrack, but his qualifying run is done. He's on lap number 4 now, so outside of the laps allotted to set a lap time, but he's just out there running extra laps. And I wonder, I mean, this is really cool actually to see one of the best drivers in the series, the winningest driver so far in the Porsche Cup, still out there running laps, just trying to get that extra time on the racetrack, albeit going in the dirt and learning quickly where the bounds are out of turn 12.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, Andrew, this is what I mentioned. It's really good to see Andre as well, just getting extra practice on the race. We saw him struggling in qualifying, so, it's just good to get extra mileage, especially, with track conditions like this. So, yeah, good to see him. Unfortunately, pole is not going to go his way, but still second place, a really good starting position for him. And as you can see, just how much he tackles out the exit curb of turn number 5. And with only 18 seconds to go, well, you might as well just practice the 2 Lasmos chicane on Road Atlanta.
He'll come around turn 7 and head back down the backstretch, but won't have time to complete this lap or anything. That will do it for qualifying here for round number 7. Let's take a look again at the schedule and just kind of give you an idea of where we're at. We've gone through February, well, half of it anyways, and gone through all of March. Now we're into April. We have this round this evening at Road Atlanta, and then it's a week break next week on April 12th before we return at Austria, Red Bull Ring, for April 19th to round out this championship. We do get 5 minutes of warm-up quickly, and we'll be right back to you in just a few moments after a quick message from our partners here at PitStopTV, Tucson Sound Art, and Permanent Makeup in Cryo in Maine.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
SoundArt introduces an entirely new way to listen to music in your home. By combining the best of 2 products, a revolutionary high-fidelity, low-profile Bluetooth wireless speaker with beautiful artwork. Select from a library of artwork or upload your own photos to personalize your experience. Sound art ushers in an era of invisible, beautiful, and amazing sound throughout your home and redefines your entire entertainment system. The need to reclaim your floor space and rid your home of unsightly speaker boxes that need to be bolted to the wall is now a thing of the past. Our canvas is printed on high-quality permalite by Breathing Color. And select from our gallery or upload your own. Standard sizes include 16 by 20 and 18 by 24 canvas wrapped. Custom sizing is available, as well as surround sound options.
Welcome back to the virtual Michelin Raceway Road at Atlanta. A good look here at the B-roll recorded earlier today. You can see in the morning, and this is going to be a fantastic day of racing, I do believe, JP. It's always fun to come to a racetrack like this. One of the more classic road courses in the North American kind of sphere, if you will, of motorsport influence, and it's just good to see a place that still follows the contour of the land, still has long sweeping corners, but also has kind of a more modern feeling chicane. And it's good that this place has stood the test of time to this point, and in 2022 it's still a premier racing course.
Oh, absolutely, and it's definitely a lot of these drivers' favorite, if not especially in the top 5. It's just a fantastic race course throughout. You know, the challenges, the ups and downs, everything is just absolutely fantastic. And yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure they all love it. Are they gonna love by the end of this 50 minutes, Andrew? Well, that's gonna be a good question, but it should be a fantastic race.
Let's go ahead and remind you of the point situation coming into this race. Victor Miranda leading the way at 247. Luke Krause three back Lady Blue. We'll figure these words out. Brady Lubinow, there we go, in the third spot, 31 points out of the points lead. Fabio Zamperlini fourth, 54 back. Then it's Spencer Marsh, just one more point back. So we talked about ties for the amateur drivers. Things very close again for these pro-ams. You've got two sets of drivers in the pro side of things that are just 1 point apart each. Fabio Zamperlini and Spencer Marsh separated by 1. And David Sampson, who is not here tonight, along with Mikkel Ritterbusch, separated by 1 point as well. And I don't see Mikkel in the field either. He might have snuck through, but definitely, actually Mikkel is here this evening, but I definitely don't see Samsoid. So we'll see how that battle changes. I do see Matthew Dench. I don't see Spencer Kostowitz. I don't see Nick Ludicky. So things are going to change here in the pro side of things, and the pro-am side as well. As I see Curtis Jones, Nicholas Michel. I don't know if I see Lowy Santi out there. We'll see how things evolve. There's a little under a minute left in this warm-up session, JP, and I do want to thank, actually, Dan Willis for rating us with a party of 4 over on Twitch. I don't check Twitch as often as I probably should, but I know the YouTube chat is always pretty active. The Twitch chat is on occasion as well, and we appreciate you guys watching out there this evening. Seeing qualifying a few moments ago, JP, who's your bet here? I know Andre Melchers is a layup, Victor Miranda is a layup. They will make up our front row, but if you've got to look beyond those two, maybe beyond cars 17 and 25, who do you look to?
That's an interesting one. I guess Luke Krause will be the safe option, you know, just running his own race. But I don't know, actually. That's a really good question. I'm gonna go for Luke Krause. I think he could get his first win tonight. How about you, though?
Man. Well, Luke Krause has got a couple of wins already. He's actually, I think he's got 2 wins.
I was confused with Brady Lubinow, sorry.
Lubinow is a good option. I don't see Luke Krause actually in the field as well, so that's, I mean,
I confused it with Brady Lubinow.
No, Luke Krause is in here. He's fastest so far in practice, in warm-up. Anyways, I think we're all kind of thrown for a loop, and to be fair, though, we have been broadcasting since 3 p.m. Eastern, and that was some 6, nearly 7 hours ago. So we had a couple hours in between, sure, but that's when we started things out with BSR MX-5 at Knock Hill. Let's just put that all behind us here. Let's go through the top of the running order, or top of the grid order anyways. Victor Miranda on that front row with Andre Melcher starting second. Starting third, you'll find Giuliano Romagnolo, so Stu with a really good starting spot. He actually could sneak through and grab a win today. Matthew Dench will start from fourth. Starting fifth, you'll find Manuel Scoli, and there you go, your first Pro-Am driver, Paulo Godai, with pole in the purple class as Pro-Am. Neto Nascimento rolls off 7th, Daniel J. Thomas in 8th, Lawrence Zavadil 9th, and completing your top 10, that's all we have time for, is Lawrence Zavadil as we get ready. Lawrence Zavadil and Curtis Jones. Let's go to our speed shot. Get ready for this one as we've got racing already. A little bit of contact. One car is off. That is Giuliano Romagnolo already with a big issue. And, well, I think his race is just about done. In fact, he is stuck in the wall there, and he gets back towed to the pit lane. The rest of these guys further ahead. Victor Miranda, Andre Melchers, Matthew Dench, they're in a line. They battle through 6 and 7.
This is a really good battle. Matthew Dench made up quite a few spots and is already challenging. We're just going to have to wait and see if those guys, well, if they're going to go for a move or early strategies already saving fuel. Look at this shot, Andrew. It doesn't really get old, does it?
It never does. It never, ever, ever does. Headed down the backstretch as well. You can see this entire field headed over the elevation and down to turn 10A. A first look at some battles here. One car defending all the way down to the inside of 10A. Now making that corner. That was Neto Nascimento over Luke Kraus. And they'll work down turn 11 now to turn 12 to wrap this lap up for the first time. Lap 1 complete. Victor Miranda over Andre Melchers, Matthew Dench, Manuel Scoli, and Paulo Godai. That's your top 5. As quickly as we put the ticker up, let's go back and see what happened here to Giuliano Romagnolo on the opening lap. Big problems in the very beginnings here for car 55 from Maradna. So let's see if we can get a look at this. And this is all the way back to the start. Giuliano starting in the 3rd position. Let's see how it goes. It's a big run. Already it's a 2nd.
Yeah. And he challenged Victor Miranda up into turn 3. And I think that was the contact. That's where the contact happened. You can see getting a really good run out of turn 1. In turn 2, they're going to go side by side in turn number 3. Pretty much no room.
Oh!
Bit of contact, yeah, between those two.
I don't think you can blame either driver there.
No, I don't think so. That's
like
lap 1 race the instant.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't think you can blame either driver in that case. Let's go ahead and go up to John Sedlak now with an issue with Justin Sang. They have just crashed out of turn 5. And, oh boy, John Sedlak, I think, might have been the start of this one. Max Wobbles also involved, it looks like. And Wobbles is actually further ahead, so maybe it starts there. And yes, it does. Wobbles sideways out of 5, comes back across. Sedlak nowhere to go. Sang meets him as well. Big contacts there. Even Fabio Zamperlini, it looks like, getting a piece of it. Or was that his teammate? Oh my goodness, Sang up in the air and over, does a flip. And, oh my.
And that's might be just his race over. It hasn't been his
I think
round.
that was Santi, by the way, who got that contact, not Fabio Zamperlini.
But yeah, Justin Sang, unfortunately, that might not be his round. This might not be his round. Is it qualifying issues and unfortunately race issues? That's going to set him back quite a bit. But up in the front, it remains unchanged. Victor Miranda from Melchers, from Dench, Scoli. Pretty much nothing between the top 2. Matthew Dench losing a bit of contact, though, with Andre Melchers.
And Giuliano Romagnolo's success here in NARL continues to be with coaching. Just such heartbreak. His first issue goes back to, we got to think about this, back to Hockenheimring to open the season. Had a big issue early in the lap. And, yeah, unfortunately, I know he's going to see it a little bit differently because he's in it. But I don't think you can blame either driver. He was a little far over after the apex. And, there's nowhere for Victor to go at that point. He's on the grass, a little bit of contact. And, well, unfortunately, one car continues, the other car does not. This is a good look at the battle for 10th. Neto Nascimento, that orange Davena, number 75, defending a little bit into 10, making sure to cover up any possibility of a move from Luke Kraus. He is following Curtis Jones, who is 3rd in Pro-Am. These purple drivers are starting to get quick.
Yeah, they're definitely trying to get quick there. They might be upsetting a few of the pro drivers, Andrew, as well. So, yeah, really interesting to see Neto Nascimento. He's definitely going to be wanting to make a few moves, especially to get close to Zamperlini just ahead. And, well, at this point, looks like they're not really thinking about fuel saving. They might be thinking about all attacking, especially on the first 10 minutes of the race.
You know, we say that each week, but they always surprise us, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just as I mentioned here, you're probably going to listen to the audio of Neto's car, and by the end of the straightaway, he might just be pulling the clutch in. But yeah, it definitely looks like he's attacking quite a bit, just trying to get a few of those track positions. Maybe just thinking Curtis Jones might slow him down on the long run, but yeah. So far through Lasmo 1, I'm just going to keep calling it that now. That's Lasmo 1, this is Lasmo 2. Neto, well, he seems pretty good at it, but, well, Curtis Jones just got a good enough exit.
I wonder what else we can call it, aside from just the Lesmos. It feels like the Lesmos 6 and 7, but obviously not. And I don't know what else they could. I mean, they're even shaped a lot like Monza, but anyways, here we go down to 10A again. Neto Nascimento just covers up that inside line just in case. I think as a precautionary move, is Rafael Bonifacio just behind these guys. There's not a whole lot going on. It's a lot like the amateur race, JP, where these guys get spread out and there's not a whole lot they can do. It's such a fast course. It's not that there aren't passing opportunities here. It's that you have to really be set up to use them.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to be in the perfect position to be able to go for a move. Obviously, we have turns 1 and 3. I guess you can say those are overtaking moves. And obviously down into turn number 10. So it's really tricky to be as close as you need. And, well, if you want to be close, you really have to push more than your competitor.
Oh, Victor Miranda! Oh, my goodness! No! Andre checks up just in time. Is Matthew Dench going to be able to come in and take that spot away? Victor Miranda's car has got to be well hurt after that one. Oversteps the bounds in turn 5. And, oh, my goodness. The Energy Sim Sport 17 with a face full of wall. Can he hang on to this race lead?
Oh, wow, that's going to be a good question. His trail line's performance is definitely going to be impaired. And, well, he's definitely going to struggle quite a bit. He might lose a little bit of time. Oh, just a few tenths of a second down in the pit lane.
This is going to be a passing opportunity. Andre's going to go for it. No, he doesn't. He pedals back out.
Yeah, the fuel strategy is way more important because if he knows that if he passes Victor Miranda, he might not have enough to essentially pull a gap, and Victor might just be reeled back in by the slipstream. So Melchers is playing a dangerous game because Matthew Dench right now could really close up and maybe upset his strategy.
And I'm really concerned that that 17 car is not going to perform like it should. I'm really concerned that he might, well, you know, we can go on board with him and see. You can see if he's holding the wheel funny for the straightaway after turn 5. We can see if he's got any trouble here through the S's. 3 looks okay. 4 up on the curving, that's normal. Into the S's now. Oh, he's wide there, onto the curbs. That's not too crazy. You can see the tire tracks from other cars. Turn 5 takes it extra cautiously. Let's go back on board. Is he holding the wheel castered at all? I can't tell, but I don't think so.
Yeah, don't think so. I think he got really, really lucky with that contact. He definitely has visual damage. But, you know, his car control as well to get it back. And obviously, Andre Melchers as well, reaction to essentially stop and avoid any further contact. Really good driving for both of them. Really good to see that. And now we have even, I guess, an even better race on our hands, Andrew, because the slower pace from the number 17 is allowing the rest of the field to catch up as the number 173 has issues just outside turn 7.
Italian of Alessandro Torchio goes around. And here comes Nick Peterson to take advantage of that. Mark Scott drafting along with. Let's go back and find out what happens here to Alessandro out of turn number 7. A commonplace for issue this evening, although you would think that maybe the Italian would have the Lesmo-ish corners down, but it looks like a couple of issues here for Torchio. Let's go to our blimp cam and see what we can see from high above Road Atlanta. Looks fine on the inside, curbing, comes out a little bit wide, pops the curbing with the left rear, and just, I think, the car was already pivoted to where it was going to go around, and the rear of that car upset. It really doesn't actually spin, kind of slides.
Yeah, half spin, isn't it? Just, luckily for him as well, not contact with the wall, so not any, I don't think any damage was occurred by that, maybe just a little bit of tire degradation, but yeah, luckily for him, a lucky escape, yeah, just as I mentioned that the number 17 might have lost a little bit of pace. Well, doesn't look like it, does it? Matthew Dench not being able to really keep up with the top 2.
Yeah, Matthew, I think, starting to fall back a little bit. It looks like, for all intents and purposes, Victor Miranda got away scot-free. I'm absolutely astonished that he was able to pound the wall like that in turn 5 and get away without too much issue. I'm really impressed by the integrity, the structural integrity there of that Energy Sim Sport 17 car. Would not have expected that by any means, as you can tell, as he continues on holding on to his position. Lawrence Zavadil further back in a nice little battle, or at least trying to be, as he chases Fabio Zamperlini. Now, Fabio has recently gone on by car 124, but, yeah, Fabio got on by Zavadil, and Nascimento and Krauss went on by Curtis Jones, as Jones has fallen down to the 11th position outside the top 10, and Rafael Bonifacio starting to catch him.
It's a really good battle, this one, to watch. A lot of drivers really close to one another. Yeah.
And I really think next season, if there is a second season of this particular division, particular series, I think Zavadiel next season is a pro chasing Zamperlini. So this is a preview almost of what we might see in a couple of months' time.
And obviously not only Zavadiel, Godoy as well. I mean,
Yeah.
5th place overall, really good. We could see next season this being an overall top 10 full of pro drivers, and I wouldn't doubt it at all, and would be fantastic to see. But it's still fantastic to see Lawrence and Paulo doing so well in the Pro-Am class, keeping up pace and even upsetting a few of those pro drivers. As you can see, Lawrence getting a really good run. I don't think he's close enough to go for a move down into the chicane, but we've seen brave moves before. Yeah, not close enough, but a really good race for him so far. Trying to catch up to Paulo ahead, which is exactly what he needs. As you can see, Zamperlini being really slowed down. Is that Thomas ahead of him? Yes, it is.
Yeah, Daniel J. Thomas, look at this line of cars. Neto Nascimento and Luke Kraus join in, so 5 cars in a row. Zamperlini out into the dirt, and Lawrence Zavadiel under pressure here from Neto Nascimento, who goes up the inside and is going to take that spot. Oh, and he turns him! He crashes Lawrence Zavadiel.
Luke Kraus just got a bit of the action, not going to get too much damage. But unfortunately for Lawrence, after doing a fantastic race inside the top 10, he's going to have to wait for essentially the whole grid to get past. But wow, really unfortunate circumstances down into turn number 1. I'm really sad for him.
That is heartbreaking for Lawrence Zavadiel's season. The points leader in Pro-Am. A little bit of contact here with Nascimento. If we can find a good angle of what happens here.
So you can see Neto Nascimento going down the inside. He's going to dive down, and obviously Lawrence is going to have that line, and they just make contact on the exit. It's kind of difficult to see because obviously Neto, I don't think he can turn the wheel much more, and Lawrence looks like he just had a bit more front grip.
The unfortunate thing there is Neto's got to keep his car off of Lawrence. That's just...
Oh, absolutely.
Simply put, he's the passing car. He is responsible for not hitting Lawrence Zavadiel here, and he comes over, tracks out, I think, and just, I mean, he turns him.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one for the steward. It's definitely going to have a big implication on the championship.
And I think, oh, he's just crashed in turn 12.
Oh, no.
Neto Nascimento, very quickly, within a lap, feels maybe some karma, potentially. I know Lawrence Zavadiel would agree with that assessment. Let's see what happens to Neto here. The curbing there catches the grass.
Yep, just the grass. That's a mistake that can happen to anyone. And unfortunately happened to him. And, well, looks like that damage might be massive damage that he just backed off into the wall. But yeah, that's just how easy a race can turn into its head.
Starting to think about pit stops now as Luke Kraus squares up with Spencer Marsh. Kraus on the back end of that issue that he was involved with Nascimento and Zavadiel. This is for 10th. PSM driver of Marsh moving into that top 10 with the advent of those issues ahead.
So obviously with pit stops, well, not looming still, but I guess definitely still in the picture for a few of these drivers. As you can see, Luke Kraus getting really close to Spencer Marsh. He's going to look down the inside of the chicane, and we should see the number 34 well going past under braking. They both go similar under braking, and they're going to go side by side. This is a really good shot to see, and they're going to hold position. Luke is going to have a better run on the outside, and he's going to clear is just going to clear and, well, move ahead to 10th place. So a really good move from him, really bold, Andrew, which is exactly what we want to see. But while pit stops looming, Andrew, I don't think this is a track where you really want to go for the undercut, especially by how small it is and how spread out the field is starting to get.
That's a good question. I have no clue. I am not a driver in this case. I'm not a crew chief. Usually I've got a decent idea of what you'd want to do for strategy, but today, not a clue. As Lawrence Zavadiel gets back onto the racetrack, it looks like. He will rejoin the field. Really feel for him. He's down at 26th spot, 1 lap down, and at the back end of the field at that. So really a lap and a half down, nearly 2 laps down. Does have his pit stop made, though. I mean, I think this is close to the fuel window. He might be able to go from here. Might not be as bad of a situation as it is currently. He might be able to use this as an undercut. He's not close to anybody, but, you know.
It could be good.
It might not be as bad as it feels.
Obviously, you know, not being close to a lot of people it means you're not going to have a lot of opportunities to fuel save, but it also means you could just have an opportunity to go all out qualifying pace, you know, just go 110%. Obviously, he needs to be mindful of his tires as well. So a lot of things going on his head. And, well, I'm lucky I'm up here in the commentary booth. But yeah, Fabio Zamperlini, meanwhile, he's trying to chase down Thomas ahead of him for 6th place. Really close battle between these two, less than 0.3 of a second between them.
And this is really that same battle that sparked up that line of cars that led to that issue. As Daniel J. Thomas, currently the flagship driver, it looks like, for Pacific Sim Motorsport. PSM relying on car 60 this time. Last week it was Lubenow and Rudebusch, and really it's been Rudebusch the entire time so far until now, or at least until recently. Curtis Jones is just behind these guys. Curtis Jones for PSM in the 8th position overall. Got to go back to Spencer Marsh to find the next driver for PSM as Kraus has gone on by. Rudebusch sits behind sits behind Marsh, and Lubenow is now in that 13th spot. James Hansen for PSM in 14th. I think you're starting to see a bit of a theme there. 4 of their drivers in a row, 11th through 14th spot. They might even have 1 or 2 more further down the order as Mark Scott and Nick Peterson battle here. This is in turn 7, and that's good enough to put Mark Scott into the 18th position.
It's going to be a good battle because Peterson might just have an answer back. As you can see up ahead, Kraus just made a move on Rafael Bonifacio. He's going to get the position, but he just disappears.
Luke Kraus did just drop out, and waiting to see if he's able to return. He has not yet.
Oh, no.
As we see this battle once again, Luke Kraus still not back. Luke Kraus might have just dropped out. Man, the connection issues this season, just the random dropouts like that. You think back to Will Coffey and Andre Melchers at Sebring. Andre Melchers, of course, at Spa, I believe it was. It wasn't Spa. Where was it? Road Atlanta. It was right here to open the GT3 season. That's right. So just
absolutely 2 laps to go as well.
Yeah. This is a battle though on the racetrack for the 17th through 19th positions. Peterson, Scott, and Michelle. I think it's actually Nicholas and Michael. I think Nicholas reached out to me, and I was trying to recall earlier if it was Michelle or Michael. I think it's Nicholas and Michael that he wants to go by there for car 812.
It's a fun battle to look. Oh, Scott almost went down the inside of Lesmo 1 turn 6. Not close enough. That's going to cost him a few tenths of a second, as you can see. But yeah, Andrew, this might be one of the closest battles we have on the racetrack, and involving 3 cars as well. Oh, sign me up for it.
And deep in the field, so I mean, these guys are realistically racing for big points positions, but in the midfield even there, as well as Michael goes on by. Scott here going to have a big run down to turn 10A. But they're racing for, 5th, 6th, 7th, if not worse, in the point standing. So, their season's already kind of not gone the way they wanted to. They're kind of just racing to make up those spots, and they certainly could still. If you turn your season around today and grab a really good finishing position, you could still grab a ton of spots in the point standings, and I think that's what these guys are looking to do here. As Spencer Marsh starts to close in on Rafael Bonifacio. Marsh recently into the top 10. Who is... Oh, yes, it was Luke Kraus that dropped out. That allowed these guys to go on by.
Absolutely, and this is a battle for 9th place. Bonifacio, third place overall in his class, I shall say. Really good race for him as well. A good follow-up from him last week at Charlotte Roval. Just gonna have to wait and see if he holds off the pressure for the number 74, or he just allows March to essentially get past him and use him as, well, essentially a draft partner to catch up to Curtis Jonah, who's currently 3 seconds ahead of him. Currently, these two, well, Andrew, they're still ahead, nose to tail, less than half a second separating them.
Andre Melchers closing in just a little bit on Victor Miranda, really just holding with him. I think Andre can go faster. I really do. After that damage that Victor got, there's no way he gets away with that without any kind of effect to the handling or performance as a whole to that vehicle. I really think Andre can go faster. This feels like a strategy move, an interesting one at that, but I gotta believe car 25 can go faster currently than car 17. We'll see.
Yeah, I think so too, especially the damage is definitely going to be slowing Victor down at least a few tenths per lap. So I think I think Andre is just saving up a little bit of fuel, saving up a little bit of tires as well to really use up on the second stage of this race. And that's just the smart strategy at this point. There's no reason for him to overtake Victor, to essentially challenge Victor this time. And, well, might as well just wait for the pit stops and get it all done on strategy.
Andre chasing Victor. There aren't too many close battles. The next one within a half second is Fabio Zamperlini to Daniel J. Thomas. Oh, as Alessandro Torchio has another issue. This had a turn 5, it looks like. See him slow there. Go ahead and get a look at it. This might have been rather minor, but he lost several spots very, very quickly.
I think just being cautious, maybe on the exit.
No, I mean, that was definitely off speed. Let's see.
So, turn 5 seems to be okay. Oh, he loses on the exit. He locks up. Does he hit the barrier? No. So, mashing the brake pedal, making sure all tires lock and slowing himself down. Well, really good save. And Andrew, I feel he will take a few extra positions lost over a total car.
Oh, certainly. That's always better than crashing out of the race. You'd rather just lose a position or two, but he's had a couple of those issues now, and I wonder if he's able to rein himself back in a little bit, try to get back after in that Yukos Porsche. Not the greatest day for him so far. You can always turn things around. Still 30 minutes, well, 29 minutes to go in this race as we go on board now with Fabio Zamperlini, currently in 7th, but working on 6th. If he can get to car 60, that's Daniel J. Thomas ahead for Pacific Sim Motorsport. Fabio has had his hands full as of late. He's been, I think, coming back alive a little bit as a driver. I don't know what Season 2 slump he was in, even into Season 3, but starting to come back to life a little bit, starting to show his old speed and get back after it. And have some good finishes. It's just a matter of continuing those good finishes and getting ahead of guys like Daniel J. Thomas and even ahead of guys like Paulo Gadai, who's ahead. I think for Fabio to get back to that championship caliber that he was at in Season 1, he's absolutely got to go ahead and beat all of the Pro-Ams in the field. Cannot allow a Pro-Am to finish ahead of him.
Absolutely, absolutely. He cannot have the Pro-Ams finishing ahead. But he just needs a string of good results as well. I think, if he can just bag himself, top 5 throughout the season, that will be excellent for his championship. And as you mentioned, he's coming back to his form, which is really good to see. Is exactly what we want to see from him, because it brings more competition to the table. And yeah, it's just good to see him on pace. And looks like, Andrew, I feel like this move could happen soon. Not quite sure if you're just holding back a little bit, waiting for the pit window, but Fabio seems very confident to run this close to the number 60 right ahead of him.
I think he's got to at this point in the season. Got to grab those positions. As I was talking about earlier, guys that even aren't in the championship battles, they want to go grab anything they can. They've got to go ahead and start really sticking it to the drivers that they're racing. No prisoners, as we talked about, I think, with the BSR broadcast today. You've just got to go. It's all take right now and no give.
Absolutely. And, well, look at this. We have, is that a lap car? Yeah, that's a lap car. That's actually Fabio's teammate. And, yeah, Fabio, I don't think Fabio's going for any moves right now. I feel like he's just biding his time. And, Andrew, obviously, this is the perfect point, I guess, for us to come back.
Oh, boy.
Oh, Scott. He just got, well, looks like contact with, I'm not quite sure who that is. I don't recall this delivery, but just outside of turn 7.
Ron Sedlak there in car 203 with him. As Sedlak is lapped. Sedlak is already a lap down, and Mark Scott's on the lead lap, or at least was. I think he still is for now, but we'll see if that changes. Sedlak wide. It looks like maybe a slide there in 7, and Mark Scott just comes out and hits him.
Really, really unfortunate. And yeah, it's going to hurt both their races. I don't think there's not a lot of damage, if any, but yeah, really not what you want, especially coming up to essentially halfway through the race. As you can see on board, Mark Scott. That's a bit unfortunate.
The problem's there for these guys. They get back rolling, though. Scott will stay on the lead lap for now as for live picture. Actually, Taki might have just had an issue. He is disconnected now, it looks like, from the sim. Well, let's go see what happens here to car 58. He was on his own after passing Mark Scott in that incident. And now, he might just be having connection issues. He blinked out for some time. I think he's actually on the pit lane.
Yeah,
blinks out there, blinks out, comes on back.
Rejoins,
comes to the pit lane. You see he's taking a pit stop now.
Yeah, 15.12 seconds. And yeah, interesting to see if this is going to be a terminal connection issue, but I think he's
back
the
in.
pit lane.
Yeah, he is back in now.
So yeah, interesting to see. But yeah, that could be our first hint at the opening of the pin window, Andrew.
And we are halfway, so it makes sense. From halfway to about 15 minutes to go, I think, is when these pit stops have to happen. And we're starting to see them push that window further and further into the race as they save more and more fuel, wanting to go to the last 10 minutes if they can. And hey, more time on an empty tank means that you're running longer with less weight in the car. So you're running faster technically on the straightaways, maximizing the advantage you can grab from it. A long line of Pacific Sim Motorsport cars here as Spencer Marsh hangs on to the 10th position, just ahead of Mikhail Rudovich, Brady Lubinow, and James Hansen, who's still in front of Scott Reister. So a long line of cars here. Let's go back on board then with Scott Reister in the 14th spot, chasing all of these guys. And I know he's had a rough go of things in the last month or so in this series, but definitely looking to turn that around. And I think tonight is a good just season building day for him, trying to right the ship before we go to Red Bull Ring in a couple of weeks.
Absolutely, and I think like this is the norm for a lot of drivers, especially those that are having a bad season, to essentially get a good result on this race to finish off, cap off the season on a high. And Scott definitely wants to do this. Scott Reiser obviously wants to do this. And well, what better way, Andrew, than try to finish inside of the top 10 overall. He's close, still quite a few positions to be made, but all of them in sight.
There's a look at how his race has gone so far. Started 14th, currently 14th, as high as 14th. He did drop down to 16th for a few moments, but has battled back up to that 14th spot. And 14, a common number for him today.
Yeah, really good number. Hopefully it's not his lucky number. I guess he wanted his lucky number to be at least number 10, to be inside the top 10, but we're just going to have to wait and see if he's close enough. But these guys, Andrew, they're essentially running a train. Obviously, we have a few cars closer than others. Especially James Henson. No, not James Henson. James Henson obviously just ahead of Scott Reister, but these PSM guys running really close to one another, which is really good to see. And yeah, we're just gonna have to wait and see when the move is going to be made. If it is, maybe down here into the chicane. No, not close enough.
And Hansen is one of those PSM drivers, just a little further back, as it looks like Nicholas Michael loses a spot further back to Nick Peterson. Oh, Rudovich very close to Marsh here. Is he going to try a pass into one, maybe? But imagine these guys are just staying in a line, wanting to run together, save some fuel. I'm kind of surprised, though, that Rudovich and Marsh haven't swapped spots, so I wonder if there is some friendly competition between teammates here.
Yeah, it could definitely be as well, but I'm pretty sure Rudovich might also be, just trying to save any drops of fuel he can, but it could be interesting. I'm not quite sure about you, Andrew, but I'd rather see drivers going down the inside of each other instead of saving a little bit of fuel, but strategy is still part of the game.
Round turn 5, and still very few pit stops have been made. Mark Scott and Mtaki came in as a result of their incidents. Sedlak has gone back onto the racetrack, pitted as a result of his, and Justin Sang has not made it back onto the course. Miranda with a little more company now for Melchers, a little closer here, as they're 7 seconds ahead of Matthew Dench. A very quiet race for car 83. And still, no takers here as we make it nearly to a half hour of racing completed.
It's crazy. Already half an hour have elapsed, as you can see. The number 83 running comfortably in third place, Andrew. 7 seconds behind the leader, but 2.5 seconds ahead of third place as this battle right here. Oh! Look at these two. Mikhail Rudovich on the outside gets his position inside the top 10. Marsh is going to have to yield that position and might come under fire from Lubinow just behind. So things really kicking off around here.
Mikhail may be saying that he saved enough fuel, goes on by. Could also be that switch for fuel saving between those guys as finally Mikhail Rudovich into the 10th position. Marsh back into the 11th spot. Lubinow now takes a look at car 74. And that battle for the back that we saw was Torquio, Peterson, and Michael here. This is 16th, 17th, and 18th. And Torquio down to the inside of Peterson, looking to the inside of turn 1. No dice there, falls right back in behind car 111. But maybe not for long.
Yeah, this battle as well looks a little bit heated on a good way. Drivers not afraid to go for moves, so I wouldn't expect to see... I wouldn't be surprised, I guess, if I saw crazy moves maybe into turn 6 and 7, but... yeah, I like what I'm seeing from these guys as we have another driver down in the pit lane. That's Reed Gibson. And, oh yeah, excuse me. I don't think that's scheduled.
And yeah, Reed is in the pits here. This is going to be, a big issue. but by choice it looks like. This is very odd. Follow along here. He's well back here. Unsure of exactly what position he was running in before this problem, but he's going to go straight where he should have turned.
Oh. So. Wow, yeah. So I...
Unfortunate to see that.
Yeah, really unfortunate. Just ran out of words in my mouth. That could be... I don't think that could be actually a hardware failure, Andrew, but...
No, that was definitely by choice.
Yeah, so yeah, really unfortunate. Curtis John looks like he's going to be another driver to come down in the pit lane. We're just going to have to wait and see how much
First
fuel
of
he's
bunch
going
of
to
them. He was in the top 10.
So the first driver in the top 10, 11.6. So yeah, close to what we saw before. We have yet another driver into the pit lane. So things could be kicking off in a few seconds. Lowy Santi, 10.7. So much quicker. Still a wide range of fuel stops, Andrew. We saw 12, we saw 11, and now we saw 10. We're probably not going to be seeing these guys coming in so shortly, but we need to keep our eyes out.
Fabio Zamperlini very close here to Daniel Thomas. Is he going to take a look to the inside? Not quite yet, but look at Paulo Gadai here as well. As Mark Scott took a look to the inside there. I don't think intentionally, just kind of riding around behind them. But Paulo Gadai is backed up to these two. This is now a battle for 5th. Fabio a little wide there in 12. Initially took a look to the left side of Daniel J. Thomas. As I think Andre Melchers could be ready for a move. This is out of turn 5. This is the closest he's been in this portion of the course.
And
we've seen it before where he takes the move as soon as he's ready to pit.
Yeah, I was just going to say that Melchers has the tendency to, when he's close to the pit window, at least a few laps away, he starts to really attack and go for it. So this could be the signal that we were waiting for, and this could be the signal that we're going to have, you know, a nice little fun battle for the lead. So we're just going to have to wait and see. Will Melchers go down the inside of Miranda, coming down in the braking zone? Blake Scott, he's coming down in the pit lane. He's going to serve himself. And look at this, Miranda going defensive, but Melchers switches on the last second. They're going to go side by side through the chicane, almost making contact. And, well, they're going to stick hold position for the time being, Andrew. This is going to get very dicey, and Victor Miranda dives into the pit lane to get repairs and fuel.
Well, yeah, he'll need repairs in that right front contact. I had forgotten about that. He had driven so well in this little run to the pit stop here. I'd initially forgotten about that front end damage. You see a little bit of left front damage as well. I wonder if he popped the curb just the wrong way in order to generate that. Manuel Scully for Juncos Esports. Best run of his season so far. He's into the pit lane. As Miranda comes on in. Just the ever so slightest bit of contact between those two as they came on through the chicane. Here's Fabio Zamperlini on the pit lane. Rafael Bonifacio follows. Spencer Marsh going to come on in. And Victor Miranda about to pull away. There he goes. 12.43 seconds. That's the number to watch.
Yeah, that's going to be the number to watch. Scully, as you can see, 12.55. So a very similar Fabio Zamperlini. Is he going to go for a quicker stop? 11.3. So that's sometimes the benefit of staying behind someone. Rafael Bonifacio, he's going to come down into 11.9, so just below 12 seconds. Spencer Marsh, 12.4. So, Andrew, considering how much fuel and how long Andre Melchers was behind Victor Miranda, I feel like it's a bit safe to say his pit stop is going to be extremely quick, as Torquio as well coming down the pit lane.
Torquio's in, Michael rather is in, and Peterson is in. So now we await Andre Melchers in the pit lane, and here he comes. Perfectly timed.
Yeah.
And the number to beat again for Victor Miranda was 12.4 seconds. In fact, we can bring it back up. 12.43 seconds, 34.38 in the pit lane. As Melchers comes on down, here comes Matthew Dench. I'd expect Paulo Gadai. Yes, here he comes with Daniel Thomas in tow. Mikhail Rudebush should come in, I would imagine. Brings Lubenow, should bring Hansen, should bring Reister. So everybody then has made their stop as of the end of this lap. Here is Andre Melchers, pulls away 11.57. That's that fuel save.
Yeah, 9/10 of a second, not that big of a gap as I was expecting. There is Victor Miranda and Andrew, considering they're less than 1 second away from each other. This could get very, very interesting. Victor needs to be within the slipstream range to essentially attack back, but yeah, this is going to get very interesting on the upcoming laps as the rest of the field as well filters back into racing conditions. And, well, obviously the main position that is switched was between the top two.
Paulo Gadai reassumes the Pro-Am lead, albeit behind Fabio Zamperlini, who is able to move up ahead of those Pro-Am drivers. So exactly what I was talking about earlier that needs to be on the agenda for Fabio, well, he's accomplished that. He is in front of the rest of the Pro-Am guys, gets ahead of car 933. Curtis Jones, second in Pro-Am. He's quite a ways back, although could make up some time on this run. This race is not over for these two. And Rafael Bonifacio, the next one up in Pro-Am. Victor Miranda starting to make some time up here. He's getting close. This back stretch has already kind of leveled the playing field between these two. It's going to be an all-out race from here for 15 minutes.
Absolutely. So for, 35 minutes, Andre Melchers had the opportunity to stare back at Victor Miranda's rear wing. Now Victor has to do that for at least 14 minutes unless he finds a way past a little bit quicker. But yeah, it's going to be a fantastic battle between these two engines. It's going to be, I guess you can say the battle of the centuries. I guess you can say the battle for the season as well. I wonder who's going to come out on top because their gap to third place, well, it's enormous.
The important thing to consider here is these two are not battling for a championship. Andre's just here to go for race wins. At this point, he's 10th in the standings. He's not going to be able to come back through the field and get a title out of this. Victor Miranda is trying to keep his season alive, so Victor can easily go second place and just not worry too much about his pride and take the points. But will he do that? I mean, he's way ahead of Luke Krause, who... Oh, Luke Krause is out of the race by 14 laps. That's right, he dropped out. I forgot about that. So it's really of no concern to Miranda at this point. If we pop over the standings, I'll do some on my other monitor. He's got 31 points to Brady Lou, but I don't think Victor Miranda has to be concerned at all this week or next. I think especially with this second place run, Victor Miranda is a few short steps away from a championship.
Yeah, but I can guarantee
you, Andrew.
Yep, he's not going to be happy with second place. He already goes down the inside, takes a little bit of avoiding action right there, so maybe a little bit of contact on the hit screen. He's going to drop outside of 1 second maybe, but yeah, I was just going to mention, I don't think he's going to be happy sitting in second place and just waiting for the race to come to him and just, holding back for the remainder 13 minutes. Obviously, I don't think it's the smartest choice to go for the move, but I mean, he wants to win. He wants to take everything, and I think he's just gonna go for it.
Do you think he's aware of the championship? He doesn't have to do that. He almost drove himself. In fact, he's over a second behind Andre right now. If he's not careful, he's going to drive himself out of a chance to win. If he waits to the last lap, on the other hand, he can make a move in turn 10, just like Melchers tried to. So far, neither of those moves have worked out, but we've seen it work out before. Think back to Petit Le Mans last year in 2021 for the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. There were some big moves in 10A and 10B, so I don't like that at all for Victor. I think he's got to hold tight, just wait, and let this race come back to him. I just do not risk something here for the championship. If he and Melchers get side by side and have a misstep, that's potentially Victor's season right back to where he was into this race. If he doesn't, he gets a massive gap back to behind it. And I think Luke Krause has already burned a drop week. I think he's already burned a race result. So this is absolutely championship setting here if he just stays where he is and does not crash.
Yeah, absolutely. It's obviously, as we mentioned, the smart choice is just stay in second place. There's no need for go for first, but obviously he only won one race of the season, as it looks like we just had a driver coming back to the pit lane with issues.
Yeah, it was something a little bit different. He actually toes back to the pit lane. Let's see if there's an incident for this one or if it's just purely by choice. Nicholas Michael here in car 812 has towed to the pit lane and disconnected from the race session, seemingly just pulling over. I didn't see any damage on his car in the pit lane. Maybe he does go for a loop. Oh, and he does. Oh, a big hit.
Outside of
damage didn't even render.
Yeah, just weird. Maybe just towed back out of the pits, maybe expecting a little bit of a meatball. But yeah, just got the car a little bit too bouncy out of turn number 3. And that's all she wrote. Coming back to this battle, looks like it's a battle just outside, just inside the top 10 as Rafael Bonifacio chasing down Curtis Jones for 8th place. 10 minutes to go, Andrew. This is the battle for second place in the Pro-Am class. Rafael really wants this position.
Yeah, there will be no battle here for the win. Paulo Goddard far too far ahead of Curtis Jones. And this is the battle for second. As you mentioned, Rafael with an opportunity here at Curtis Jones, and I think the same thing potentially here for Rafael. You're not going to go catch Paulo Goddard without some kind of big intervention and some kind of big issue for Rafael, for Paulo. So just wait, bide your time here. You don't have anybody out the back for position until Scott Reister some 6 seconds back the road. So I really think for Rafael, just wait until the last lap, make a move in 10. That's how Road Atlanta tends to work.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, if that doesn't work, try to line yourself a good exit to get the driver ahead of you into turn number 1. And well, if that doesn't work, Andrew, you can do it all over again. You still have 10 minutes of driving left, so it's still plenty of time to line up a move. And
I mean waiting until the last lap. Just stay behind.
Oh, really? Oh, that obviously that can work, but obviously you limit yourself to only one opportunity.
Yeah, but you.
And we saw that on the Pro-Am. It didn't really work.
If you pass too early, you give them the opportunity to wait. It's kind of like short track racing. And you know what? NASCAR's headed to Martinsville this week, so it's kind of topical. If you make a move before the final corner and that move is successful, that driver has an opportunity to come right back at you. So you've got to kind of manage that. And, you know, if you do make the move early, you've got to make sure to cover that move up later. And usually that's when you get into crashes because you're defending and try to take that line away. So I really find it is better to just wait until the last opportunity and just make sure that it's a good one.
Yeah, that's obviously a valid strategy as well. Just two different approaches to, I guess, the same scenario. And yeah, now the scenario we're faced upon, Andrew, is the number 17 is still closing and, well, approaching less than half a second to Andre. So this is the battle which we couldn't really see throughout the season. These two just going at it with the final few minutes of the racetrack, Andrew. So I'm definitely not complaining. Obviously, I guess the conscious side is really, you know, ringing red bells, red flags for this battle. But, you know, if he wants to race, if Victor wants to race, well, just go for it. I'm really excited to see what comes out of this.
And again, the championship hopes for Andre Melcher is absolutely dashed here in the Porsche Cup. So, really, he's just out here to collect race wins. He's already got 3. And amazingly, yes, he's got 3 wins, and he's nowhere near having an opportunity to race. He's actually won half the season, and he's not going to win this championship. We can say that much for sure. Victor Miranda, though, consistency matters, and here he goes, back up the inside of 10A. A bit aggressive here to do so with 8 minutes to go. That move is not going to work.
Yeah, just pretty much the same move he tried a few laps ago.
But that was better because he didn't back himself up by a second.
And he didn't as I mentioned, didn't back up himself up, and yeah, he's extremely close. So I'm loving this, Andrew. I'm not sure about you. Obviously, you know, it's getting a bit intense, but it's definitely welcome.
We'll take battling any day. That's always good to see as these guys work back to the S's. It's just a matter of playing the waiting game, and it has been that this season, I think, with the fuel saving as a whole. You've got to play all 50 minutes. Oh man, that was almost sketchy there for Melchers. You've just got to set yourself up for a 50-minute race. Remember that it is a 50-minute race. Not battle too much in the early goings. Get yourself into a position to make a move for the race win, and that's kind of just it. And then you make that move for the race win, and either sticks or it doesn't. So these guys definitely just kind of hanging on right now, albeit catching M. Taki, who is about to go 1 lap down and has been blinking all race long, but M is in the, 18th spot. Yeah, 16 seconds back of Nick Peterson at 17th. Just pulls over, lets these guys go on by. Not too many other battles in the top 10 at all. Curtis Jones, Rafael Bonifacio still close, but not battling.
Yeah, they're not too close to one another. They're pretty much the same distance we just saw from Victor Miranda and Andre Melchers. But Rafael, well, he's not going for that many crazy moves like Victor is. And as you can see, just really close, 0.2 of a second away. These guys are pushing to the limit, and I mean, it's crazy to see how much they're pushing, and it's crazy to see how much their tires are still holding up as Rafael really closing up to Curtis Jones. Could we see him move down into the chicane? He looks to the inside a bit too far away, decides, thinks better of it, and just holds back.
Oh, a little sketchy there on power over the curbs. Hangs onto it though, continues on, and a little wide there. I started to get a little bit concerned with the car. Took some bumps weird, but hangs on to things. Does lose a little bit of time overall in that exchange as Victor Miranda draws right back close to Andre Melchers, who dips a wheel there between 6 and 7 between the faux Lesmos. And here we go. We're going to do it all over again. Victor Miranda, though, a much better opportunity this time. This might be as close as he's been at a turn 7. Melchers pulls early, and here we go. Victor Miranda going to have an opportunity to draft up. Will Andre cover this? No. He's going to allow Victor the opportunity here to the inside, and he just might have this spot before the braking zone. Not quite, but he's going to have that spot at the apex, I think.
Andre is really holding out on the outside. They're going to go side by side. Victor's going to have the run on the outside. Well, there's exactly the same exit. The number 17 is going to have the outside line for the last corner. This could end in tears, but Andre Melchers just holds up that position. Beautiful defending by him. Beautiful attacking by Victor Miranda. Andrew, 5 minutes to go. This is definitely not over. Boy, this is getting intense, but this is getting so much fun. This is fantastic racing between those two.
This just might be the best battle for a race win that we get this season. These two squared up, 5 minutes to go. A whole lot of risk, though, for Victor Miranda. He's got to be careful. He's really got to be careful not to throw this opportunity away. Luke Krause out of the race. Brady Lubenow down in 10th. Going to lose more points to him. The next driver behind Brady is Fabio Zamperlini, 54 points back already. If Victor just doesn't bin this car, be it through his own volition or through contact with Andre Melchers here, I really think he's got the championship wrapped up. The dominoes have fallen, race in, race out. First it was Andre Melchers a couple of times, and now it's been Luke Krause a couple of times, and there we go. He's going to challenge again, I'd imagine.
Yeah, definitely going down the inside, trying to get a better line. Andre's still going to hold it around the outside. They're still going to go side by side, almost making contact. Now Victor's probably going to have the best run. They do make a little bit of contact, and I think I can see a little bit of damage.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it looks like a little bit of damage to the front end of the number 17, but wow, I mean, it's incredible attack from Victor, but amazing, spectacular defense from Andre. And as you can see, as we cut back to Rafael Bonifacio, still very close to Curtis Jones, but still a bit too far away to go for a move.
Closes in there, though, in 10B. A good run through that chicane. Takes a bit of racetrack off there in 11. Takes a bit of racetrack off there in 12, but Curtis keeps the momentum up and actually drives back away down this front stretch. Rafael is going to have to really set him up. He's going to have to do the same thing we're seeing Victor Miranda do. Start taking some stabs, I think, at the inside of 10. I would still wait for the last lap just to make sure that Curtis can't come back at him, but I also don't disagree with drivers taking a couple of stabs in the laps prior, the laps leading up to it, to set that move up. Maybe, stick the nose on the inside, test the waters, but don't actually go for the full move and kind of give it back in 10B like we've seen so many times here from Victor. Will he do it again? A big run again to the inside. What can he do here?
He gets the inside line. I don't think...
Oh, and he moves over on him!
Oh, trying to close the door. That did not end well. They still got a similar exit. Andre's not giving up that lead so easily. They door bang on the run down to the final corner. They're still side by side. They run out of room, but they both save it, and they're still side by side. Victor on the outside of turn number 1. He has to yield that position.
And Andre goes off. Andre Melchers loses this race by turn 1 with 3 laps to go. One of the best battles we've seen all season, certainly the best battles for the race win, and Andre Melchers makes a small mistake, carries too much speed through turn 1, and gives up a race win to Victor Miranda. That's it. There's no way Andre gets back there by 2 seconds at this point with just 2.5 laps to go. Let's go back and watch that through one more time.
Yeah, we have to maybe rewind even to the back straight away because that was fantastic. I think they made contact 2 or 3 times. But yeah, as you can see, on the Lesmos, turn 6 and 7, you can see Victor, again, just as he was on the previous few laps, he's extremely close to Andre, getting a good run. I think on this exit, Andrew, he was less than 0.3 of a second away, so the run is going to be absolutely perfect. He's going to have the slipstream, he's going to have the advantage. You can see Andre going defensive, not going defensive, holding the racing line really early. Victor is just going to get the run, go to the inside, and he's going to, not clear, but he's going to get a good car's advantage over Andre.
The difference is here between the apexes where he moves over.
Yeah, he moves a little bit over, tries to shut that door. Andre's not giving up. They both get the same exit and door bang a little bit here. That's going to compromise both of their lines through turns 12. And then they make contact once again. They both keep their foot, well, stuck to the bottom. And yeah, on this sector, well, Andre just carries a bit too much speed. Victor just avoids him, and wow.
And that's it. That's Andre Melchers' race done. He's lost even more time now, so focus going to shift now to Rafael Bonifacio and Curtis Jones. This is for second in Pro-Am, and This is the only battle left on the racetrack. These are the only two cars that are within 1 second of each other for position. This is it. This is Curtis Jones and Rafael Bonifacio. The final battle here in round number 7 of this North American Racing League Porsche Cup season. Will Rafael have an opportunity here to pass Curtis Jones for that second spot? It's 8th on the racetrack overall, 2nd though in class.
Yeah, the answer is going to be defined on the exit of turn number 7. He's not too close right now. He has to be closer on the exit, and yeah, that's a really good line from turn number 6, and this might be his chance. You can see the front end not biting, and well, we got the final lap of the race, and well, Victor Miranda is going to win it.
Very quickly, no white flag warning there by Whiplash Simcams, but Victor Miranda wraps things up with another race win this evening at the virtual Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. Miranda over Melchers, then Dench comes across in 3rd. It's Scully there in 4th. Zamperlini will take a 5th place position this evening, although some 20 seconds back, so things not over just yet in the race. There's Fabio Zamperlini. He comes across. Might have actually been Lowy. No, that was Fabio. Yeah, here comes Paulo Godai. Daniel J. Thomas next up. And there's been contact! Curtis Jones in the barrier.
He's probably just going to try to nurse his car back home. Rafael Bonifacio is going to finish in 8th place. Brady Lubinow in 9th. Mikael Rudebusch in 10th. And Curtis Jones is just going to nurse that car just enough to finish in 11th place. But wow, heartbreak on the final corner of the final lap.
And we will get a replay of that one. That's important for the Pro-Am battle, specifically for Rafael Bonifacio in case a penalty comes his way. I'd imagine so with contact that severe. Definitely. I'd imagine there will be a steward's review at the very least. Obviously, decision pending, because they haven't even reviewed it yet. But there will have to be some kind of review of that incident coming down to turn 12, the final lap. And let's go ahead and go back and look at it.
So obviously the contact happens down in turn number 12 on the run down to turn number 12 after the chicane. And I guess it's just going to be each other pushing. Oh, they're just going to be pushing themselves to the limit. As you can see, Rafael not close enough, just putting his car in the middle of the road, and that was enough to force him into a mistake. And well, on this rundown, I wonder who makes the mistake around here.
Whoa! Net code contact. That's not Rafael's fault at all.
No,
Rafael played that perfectly.
He just held his line. He needed to turn, and he was turning, but yeah, I think it was just a bit too much net code that influenced a lot on the contact.
Let's watch this from Curtis Jones' perspective as he falls down to 11th on the running order, locks up a bit, runs wide there, and that opens the door. So it's his own mistake that opens the door in the first place. Rafael fills the hole as you would expect, and Rafael even backed out a little bit. There's net code there, and Curtis unfortunately gets the short end of that stick. There's nothing Rafael did wrong there. He was racing for that spot, and a big spot, I think, in the championship as well, and Rafael needed those points.
Yeah, absolutely, and just went for it cleanly. As you mentioned, he tried to back off a little bit to avoid contact, but it wasn't enough at the end of the day, so he's going to finish 2nd place in the unofficial race results, but yeah, I don't think that's the way he wanted to finish in 2nd place on his class.
We will go ahead and take a quick post-race break and be right back with you in just a few moments with race results and, well, post-race interviews with, hopefully, our top 2 from each series, because that was a lot of fun. Hopefully they both connect. Victor Miranda winning this evening at Road Atlanta. Andre Melchers 2nd. Paulo Godai with a Pro-Am win in the 6th overall position. And Rafael Bonifacio comes through for the 2nd spot in Pro-Am. We'll be right back to you in a few short moments at PitStopTV.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
SoundArt introduces an entirely new way to listen to music in your home. By combining the best of 2 products, a revolutionary high-fidelity, low-profile Bluetooth wireless speaker with beautiful artwork. Select from a library of artwork or upload your own photos to personalize your experience. SoundArt ushers in an era of invisible, beautiful, and amazing sound throughout your home and redefines your entire entertainment system. The need to reclaim your floor space and rid your home of unsightly speaker boxes that need to be bolted to the wall is now a thing of the past. Our canvas is printed on high-quality permalite by Breathing Color. And select from our gallery or upload your own. Standard sizes include 16 by 20 and 18 by 24 canvas wrapped. Custom sizing is available, as well as surround sound options.
Welcome back to the virtual Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. 80 total minutes of racing, almost at 90, but that's for Thursday. 80 total minutes of racing between the 30-minute amateur race and the 50-minute Pro-Am race. It's all done and dusted. Victor Miranda with victory over Andre Melchers in dramatic and potentially controversial fashion. I don't think anything's really wrong with what happened, but definitely I'd imagine Andre won't like the way things went. Let's go ahead and bring in then race winner Victor Miranda this evening, and JP, I'd imagine he's got to be pretty happy.
Então, Victor, mais uma vitória. Cara, essa foi suada. Poxa, no final ali fiquei surpreso com o ataque, mas conta aí como é que foi no teu ponto de vista.
Muito difícil essa pista, né? Concentração máxima e os pulos, os bumps são muito traiçoeiros, principalmente na saída ali do setor 2. Tinha um carro muito rápido, como eu falei na entrevista da semana passada. Essa pista aqui a gente correu na Porsche Cup Brasil e já tinha um carro bem arrumado, então foi só repegar aqui a mão da pista e tudo mais. O Melchers optou por uma asa 6, um pouco mais segura no miolo. Eu optei por uma asa 4, que é um pouquinho mais de reta. Então, quando ele estava atrás, ele não tinha ação de ultrapassagem, porque mesmo no vácuo ele tirava 1 décimo, no máximo 1 décimo, 2 décimos na reta, enquanto eu atrás dele eu tirava 3, 4 décimos às vezes na reta. E então cometi alguns erros no começo, tentei para ele continuar ali atrás, economizar um pouco de combustível e sair na minha frente na parada. Mas como eu tinha um pouquinho menos de asa, eu estava atrás pegando vácuo e com o carro bem acertado. Estava muito rápido atrás dele, consegui aproveitar ali os setores que meu carro não era bom, que era a descida ali do S. Eu conseguia me aproveitar bem, manter a distância dele, então na reta eu chegava mais. Mas, como eu falei, como ele tinha uma asa maior, ele freava um pouco mais dentro e, puta, é um Melchers, né? 9.6k de rating, não é qualquer um. Sabe defender muito bem, sabe disputar muito bem. Tava muito difícil. Acho que numa primeira tentativa deu um netcode ali porta com porta, fui um pouco para trás, vim recuperando, cheguei de novo e aí foi tentar achar uma estratégia aqui de passar ele, porque tava difícil, muito difícil. Arrisquei ali por fora na zero e aí ele escorregou um pouquinho na 1 e conseguiu ultrapassar, mas foi muito, muito difícil. Tô aqui suado e foi muito legal, muito divertido e é isso.
Perfeito. Bom, tu explicou basicamente a corrida inteira. Obviamente tem só, acho que 2 coisas que a gente pode perguntar. Esse contato que você teve com o Melchers ali na linha de chegada e obviamente que terminou com você ganhando a posição. Qual foi seu ponto de vista naquele incidente?
Não, acho que é um toque de corrida. Na curva 0 ali, que antecede a reta, é uma curva que naturalmente o carro espalha. E aí eu justamente arrisquei ali manter por fora, porque eu sabia que por dentro ele tinha que aliviar um pouco. E aí eu me daria melhor ali na 1, né? Ele acabou não aliviando tanto quanto eu achei que aliviasse. Então deu um porta com porta, mas eu acho que de boa fé aqui ele aliviou depois, né? Que ele deu a porta com porta, que ele se manteve do meu lado. Então, coisa de corrida, acho que como se eu tivesse por dentro, aconteceria a mesma coisa, talvez.
Com certeza. E a última coisa, obviamente, com esse resultado, basicamente uma mão no troféu, como é que você aproxima agora, daqui 2 semanas, a última corrida do campeonato, com essa liderança que você tem?
Muito feliz, né? Eu acho que, revendo aqui as pontuações, como eu não tenho descarte nenhum, é capaz de eu já ter sido campeão, mas precisa fazer conta aqui para entender. De qualquer forma, a gente vai para a última corrida com um campeonato muito constante feito aqui. O pior resultado foi um terceiro, então em pontos, né, 47 pontos. Então, muito feliz com a organização do campeonato, muito feliz com os pilotos. É sempre ótimo andar aqui com pilotos de altíssima qualidade. E Red Bull já é uma pista que eu não me adapto muito bem, mas vamos tentar fazer uma boa corrida, um pódio, quem sabe.
Com certeza, Victor, foi um prazer falar contigo. Muito bom te ver na corrida de novo na pista, fazendo esse show como sempre. E espero falar contigo não somente na quinta-feira, mas daqui 2 semanas também na terça.
Muito obrigado, João. Queria agradecer aqui todos os pilotos brasileiros que estão correndo aqui na North America. Agradecer o Scott também pela organização do campeonato. Parabenizar o Melkers pela corridaça que ele fez também. E os brasileiros aqui que chegaram no pódio, o Paulinho Godoy e o Rafael Bonifácio, junto com o Fábio Zampellini e toda a galera que estava torcendo. E por último, agradecer aqui a Energy Sim Sport, minha equipe, e nosso patrocinador, a Metro Network.
Perfect. So thank you, Victor and Andrew. Well, it was a very good interview for him. As always, it's a pleasure talking to him. Obviously, first he mentioned, about the track. It's a very hard track. It needs 110% focus, to get through the track fast and cleanly. He said his car was set up perfectly. He had the Porsche Cup race a few weeks ago, and the car was set up perfectly. A bit of setup difference between him and Melchers. He had the wing setting, the wing setting number 4 for his rear wing, while Melchers had the wing setting number 6. So it was a bit of downforce difference, and obviously resulted in the top end speed difference between those two. Meaning, obviously, Andre didn't really have a lot of top end speed, so it was more difficult for him to make a move, even with the damage that Victor had. He was very happy with the battle. Obviously, the first move that he tried to make, a bit of net cold inflicted on it, and he dropped, unfortunately, to a second away, but was able to catch back. He said he was sweating a lot after the race, but it was lots of fun. And he just mentioned it was a racing incident between those two. He was very happy with the battle, and he actually was giving big props to Andre for the battle. He's happy for the championship. He said there's still no drop week applied on his championship tally, so there's a possibility that he might already be the champion with tonight's result, but we're just gonna have to wait and see. Yeah, he said he's not great at Austria, but he's expecting a good result in the next 2 weeks.
From Victor Miranda, we got to go down to Andre Melchers with a really, really big day. And unfortunately, though, Andre, not the position you wanted at the end of things. What do you make of the battle with you and Victor there?
Hey guys, yeah, that was definitely the best race I ever had in this series. Even though I finished P2, it was a lot of fun to drive against him. We battled for like, I don't know, 10 laps or so at the end. And yeah, my problem was I miscalculated a bit with the setup. I was on ring 6 when he was on ring 4. So I was kind of slow on the straight always. And yeah, that was my problem. He was a lot faster, and I did what I could do, but at the end I didn't get it.
And what do you make of the contact specifically that obviously led to you guys being side by side through 11 and 12, and then your mistake in turn 1?
Yeah, it was kind of unfortunate. It was my fault first to push him wide at the finish line. That goes on me completely. And yeah, after that I braked a bit too late, so understeered a bit in first corner, and yeah, went into the grass a bit.
The championship a wash realistically in this series, but you're still able to make up some positions and potentially vie for even a top 5. What's the game plan in 2 weeks in Austria?
The target is definitely win again. I mean, championship, I don't have any chance anymore to make there anything. Yeah, but yeah, I will try to win again, or yeah, get at least a good finish, a good race again as today. That would be nice as well. Yeah, that's the target.
Well, Andre, thanks so much for your time. Congratulations on what was nearly a win. Certainly a great battle there with Victor. And, hey, one of the best battles we've had all season long. So definitely thank you for that. And get them next week or I guess 2 weeks from now at Austria. And we'll see you Thursday at Red Bull Ring. Andre Melchers with a really good day there, JP. Good to talk to him and hear about his side of things. We'll move on down the line, though. Paulo Kadai picks up another Pro-Am victory and is likely going to at least narrow that gap, if not overtake Lawrence Zavadil in the points entirely. Here is driver 933.
Então, Paulo, mais uma vez falando contigo, sabe que eu adoro ouvir tua voz, ouvir a voz do Victor, é sempre bom falar com os brasileiros. Conta como é que foi tua corrida aí.
Ah, João, que noite boa, né?
Ótima.
Bom, Road Atlanta, eu acho que ouvindo a entrevista do Victor, ele já adiantou muita coisa. É uma pista que, com esse carro, cara, concentração 120%. Não tem como desviar o olhar, não tem como conversar. Hoje a gente no Discord tava um silêncio absurdo, porque hoje só dava pra gente se concentrar e tentar primeiramente terminar a corrida e manter um pace que dava pra trazer alguma coisa aí pra gente, tanto pro campeonato, tanto pros brasileiros. Mas, cara, falando da corrida em si, eu acerto um quali, né? Eu tava com muita dificuldade de acertar uma volta de quali com o tanque vazio, o carro tava meio que esquisito, mas por questões de tocada mesmo, eu não tava me adaptando bem ao carro com o tanque vazio. Mas virou o quali, a gente concentrou, conseguiu fazer um quali para ficar ali dentro do top 5 do geral. Isso foi importantíssimo para poder largar e já se desvencilhar ali do pelotão por voltas ali, conseguir acompanhar tranquilamente o pelotão da frente, salvando um pouco de combustível, inclusive. E depois do meio da corrida para frente, após o pit, foi concentrar, né, fazer um pace confortável. Eu coloquei na minha cabeça que eu tinha que colocar uma guiada que já não era mais tão absurda de fazer, né? Então era realmente trazer o carro para casa. Então comecei até a diminuir um pouco o ritmo, né? Não tirei o pé, mas diminuí um pouco o ritmo para evitar mesmo qualquer tipo de incidente. Então pegar naquele setor 2 ali com esse carro, qualquer coisa que você fizer de estripulia vai morrer, né? Vai ter alguma coisa no carro, ou pode estragar o carro também, enfim. Então eu comecei a perceber que eu precisava só evitar esses incidentes, que dava para trazer o carro para casa e Road Atlanta trazer uma pole position na categoria e trazer um P1 na categoria e colocar a gente, se não pegamos o primeiro agora do Lawrence, a gente tá muito, muito, muito empatado para a última etapa que vai ser alucinante lá em Red Bull Ring.
E falando de Red Bull Ring, se tivesse empatado, como é que você acha que você vai sair naquela corrida?
Red Bull Ring é uma pista que eu gosto, eu acho que já é um pouco diferente daqui, né? Também tem que tomar cuidado em alguns trechos, mas é uma pista que eu sou um pouco mais familiarizado. E então assim, mas a gente também não tem setup, a gente vai ter que dar uma mexida, pegar o setup e dar uma fuçada para ver o que a gente acha lá. Então só os treinos da semana para dizer como é que a gente vai chegar lá. Mas o que é certo é que a gente vai continuar focado 100% como é que a gente tá. Fico feliz pela cadência de resultados do Victor. Fico também, obviamente, tô super feliz com a minha cadência de resultados. Se não foi primeiro, foi segundo. E o nosso grid não é fácil também, longe de ser fácil. Então tem que estar bem treinado toda semana, né, dividindo o tempo ali com a GT3, que a gente também corre na quinta-feira. Mas o que pode esperar para a Red Bull Ring é nada mais nada menos que muito treino. Isso aí não tem desculpa. Mas vamos preparar o carro para chegar lá com uma boa chance de andar na frente, trazer um pódio de novo e fechar com chave de ouro esse campeonato.
Com certeza, Paulo. Então, vou te desejar toda a sorte do mundo. Espero falar contigo quinta-feira. E, bom, falar contigo daqui 2 semanas também.
Show. Quinta-feira, se Deus quiser, a gente tá aqui também. Semana que vem para essa grande final. Valeu.
Show de bola. É isso aí, Paulo. So, Andrew, obviously talking to Paulo, he said, it was pretty much the same as Victor said. He needed 120% focus. He mentioned that on his Discord call with the rest of the Brazilians, there was absolutely no talking. It was dead silence because everybody was just focusing so hard. Quality was great, but his car was a bit weird. He couldn't really get the hang of the car, on extremely low fuel. After that, after he got his race start and got this race settled down, he mentioned he just wanted to bring the car home, just being careful with the bumps, being careful with absolutely everything to make sure he didn't carry any damage or didn't, involve himself in an instant. And Yep, that was about his race, you know, just being on himself, and he was very happy about it. He said on the championship he might be very close, if not overtaking Lawrence. So we need to keep an eye out for that for next race, for the next round in 2 weeks. And talking about Red Bull, he said he's very good at that track. He likes the track very a lot. He's very familiar with it. Obviously, he's very different. He still needs to work with on the setups with his teammates and obviously his fellow compatriots. Yeah, he's very happy with Victor's cadence of results, and he's very happy with his results as well.
From Paulo Godai, we'll go down to Rafael Bonifacio with a win last week at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and today it's a runner-up. But Rafael, it was not without a bit of contact. What happened there on the last lap?
Hello guys, I'm sorry, my microphone was muted. Hi, good night Andrew, good night GP, everyone. Damn, it was a very tough race. And again, a very nice fight with Curtis Jones. Unfortunately, I think, not sure how the broadcast caught it up, but there was a huge net code between me and Curtis Jones on the last corner, which unfortunately I think for bad connection either from me and from him. There was, I guess, like a foot and a half in between me and him, but unfortunately our racing counted that towards as a contact and making him spin. He was very unfortunate because Curtis is a very clean driver, and you know, these things happens. We're up to it, and but I guess that brings a very solid result for us in the championship.
Yeah, it's going to bring you a lot closer to, well, certainly Lorenz Zavadiel, who finishes well down the order, but Paulo is going to get a few points on you. How do you approach a couple of weeks' time going to Austria? Going to be still probably about 20 points behind Paulo, if not more. Is there a specific thing you're looking for in your car's setup? Is there a specific strategy you're looking at? How do you try and win this championship?
Andrew, in my opinion, I think especially on these Cup cars that we have very few things on the setup, there's nothing much we can do about in terms of like setting up the car. Of course, it counts a lot. However, I think it wouldn't be the main differential. I guess be very aware in the pit strategy, as always, you know, very little mistakes can cost you a lot on those. But I think just try to be as best consistent as I can, because I think bringing the better consistency definitely brings you good results, and you know, hopefully not many mistakes, and just bring us as the best result as you can. I think that's the goal. That's the main idea.
There you go. I don't think I have anything else to ask you, Rafael. Great answers to those questions. It's just a matter of going out there in a couple of weeks and making the best of it. Best of luck to you at Austria. Before you go, though, who makes it happen for you? I see some logos on that car that I don't recognize. Tell us about those.
Of course. Well, it's very good to actually put Wolfpack as in your first international Wolfpack Motorsport in its first international championship. We do have a few sponsors here, which is Schutz, Vazitex. It's plastic industry here in Brazil for chemical containers, and also Foxgraph, which is another those main displays that you see on the supermarkets and to put all the products and things like that. Those have been with us for a little bit more than a year and have been supporting Wolfpack, and I'm very happy that I'm here with all the support from Wolfpack Motorsport and those sponsors. And you know, they're looking forward to be working with us, and happy to put them on the second place here tonight in Road Atlanta.
Rafael, once again, thanks so much for your time this evening. Congratulations at the second place, and best of luck to you at Red Bull Ring in a couple of weeks.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, JP. Good night, everyone.
That's Rafael Bonifacio with a really big race today, JP. Definitely looking forward to seeing what he can do. He's going to be an underdog, going to have to come back from quite the deficit in 2 weeks' time, but he's at least going to have a chance, and that's what matters. Let's take a look now at our race results. After 50 minutes of racing, Victor Miranda with 25 laps led over car 25 by 2.5 seconds. A little bit of change there. Matthew Dench third place. A very quiet day out of Matthew, but a building day as far as the point standings go. It's going to move him up, I'd imagine, ahead of Mikel Rudebusch, or at least even with car 22, somewhere around there, so that's going to help him out. Manuel Scully comes across in fourth, Fabio Zamperlini fifth, Paulo Godai takes that Pro-Am win, Daniel J. Thomas in the seventh spot for Pacific Sim Motorsport, and then Rafael Bonifacio that we just spoke with, and Brady Lubenow, Mikel Rudebusch, they wrap things up for Pacific Sim in that top 10.
11th place goes the ways of Curtis M. Jones, just ahead of Spencer March. James Henson is going to finish in 13th place ahead of Scott Reister, Blake Scott in 15th, Nick Peterson in 16th, M. Taki is going to be the first driver to go a lap down in 17th place, Alexandra Torquio in 18th, Mark Scott in 19th, and Lawrence Zavadil Andrew only in 20th place.
It's important to note Lawrence had that issue earlier on with Neto Nascimento, and Neto finishes well down the order in 27th spot, but just never able to come back from that. I think Lawrence made some spots up, certainly got by guys like Lois Santi and John Sedlak, but just never was able to come back from the biggest of issues and not able to make those times up. Didn't have to pit again from that pit stop like we theorized, but still not the recovery that he needed or wanted. Lois Santi does take a 21st spot finish after his issues throughout the day. John Sedlak there in 22nd. Nicholas Michael in 23rd. Reed Gibson 24th. These are the guys that had some severe heartbreak. 10 laps down for Michael, 17 for Gibson, and 21 there for Sang. And Luke Krause, of course, lost connection early on in today's race. 26th spot. 26 laps down. Neto Nascimento 27th, 28 laps down. And the Max Wobbles and Giuliano Romagnolo, early issues, of course. Giuliano, as was mentioned out in the YouTube chat, not happy with that incident, but I don't think there's really anybody to blame at the end of the day. Just racing contact between first and second in the first few corners. JP, what do you make of this one? Round 7 done and dusted, and we have a championship battle set.
Absolutely, and I think Road Atlanta really delivered probably the best racing we've had, at least for the lead battle throughout the season. I know it's just insane, those final 10 minutes. I'm glad we were here covering. I'm glad Victor Miranda went for the battle, ended up working, that gamble ended up working for him, and it's just really promising for the next 2 weeks, not only in the Pro class, but in the Pro-Am class as well. It's bound to be a great season finale, as we're kind of used to in NAL.
I'm definitely looking forward to seeing some of these recovery battles almost. I think Rafael Defasio has a chance. I think Lawrence Zavadil is going to have to come back for the first time from a points deficit all season long. He's been leading since we opened things up, I believe, all the way back at Hockenheim Ring. And now Paulo Godai with that opportunity in Pro-Am is going to be really cool to watch. And obviously, not much of a battle in Pro. It should be all Victor Miranda. If you look down to Am, that battle's fully alive with Agustin Castro, Alex Persian, and Brian Zinn. Nothing is decided there just yet, although it looks good for Agustin Castro. We'll see how things break down in 2 weeks' time. If we come back into the sim quickly, we can go ahead and take a look at your upcoming broadcast here at PitStopTV. Of course, tomorrow evening, it's the Outlaws Sim Series from Chicagoland Speedway at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Emerson Arden and Devin Kent Zimmerman will take you through the action there. Then it's Knock Hill Racing Circuit one more time this week on Thursday afternoon with BSRTC. That's 8 p.m. UK. That is 3 p.m. Eastern Time before we wrap things up, but wrap the week up with a preview of what we might see for this championship out at Spielberg. It's the Red Bull Ring for round number, 5 now for the North American Racing League GT3 cars. That's at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and again, wraps up our week of coverage.
Yeah, it's insane how quickly things are going by, especially in the BSR and the NARL, but obviously you need to follow us on social media to keep yourself up to date on each and every single content we have. Obviously on Facebook.com/PitStopTV, on Twitter.com/PitStopTV_, Instagram.com/Pit_Stop_TV, and live coverage at YouTube.com/PitStopTV1.
Well, that is round number 7 then for the Porsche Cup guys here at the North American Racing League. A big thank you goes out to all of our partners with the North American Racing League. Of course, with this Porsche Cup series, we bring in VRS, Virtual Racing School. I'm a subscriber myself, so I think that tells you what you need to know. Muradness, the driver coaching, propelling these drivers to wins. And, well, in the AM race, it was 2nd, 3rd, and 4th this evening. Agustin Castro got the best of them, but a couple of wins, I think a few wins back-to-back for them. Previously, of course, Tam Livery powering a lot of these liveries and the social media graphics for the league, and JS Consulting handling the back end, the website concerns, and all of that stuff. So if you've seen NorthAmericanRacingLeague.com, you've seen JS Consulting's work. A big thank you goes out to our crew here at PitStopTV. JP Costa, of course, joining me on the call throughout the course of the day. And JP, it's always definitely a struggle to get through these doubles, but it's also a lot of fun when you have racing like we had today. I don't think I have any complaints with what we saw between Knock Hill earlier today, Road Atlanta tonight, and certainly shouldn't have any complaints between Knock Hill on Thursday and Red Bull Ring on, Thursday night.
Oh, absolutely not. I'm ready for another double. Even though I'm tired, I was glad I was up here, and I was glad I'm part of this experience, and yeah, Thursday can't come soon enough.
Zach Murdos also joining us on social media coverage this evening. Appreciate the work he's put in, and certainly appreciate the improvement that we've seen in just a few short weeks with him, as he's still properly a rookie to social media. He has definitely come quite a long ways very, very quickly. For all of us at PitStopTV, behind the scenes and otherwise, Emerson Arden, Devin Zimmerman, and the rest of us that make things happen, a big, big thank you for you tuning in, and we will see you next time out. Hopefully, it's tomorrow evening for the Outlaws Sim Series again from the Chicagoland Speedway in just under 20 hours. Well, just over 20 hours. 20 hours and 14 minutes. You can catch that coverage from Chicagoland. It's round number 7 for them as well. A whole lot of points battles starting to take shape, and we will see you there. Well, Emerson will see you there. We'll see you Thursday for the BSRTC round at Knock Hill.